Hello and welcome to the 19th episode of the IMANAH Podcast. Friends, Roman and countrymen, lend me your ears was the famous quote from William Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar. There was a time when Julius Caesar was just a general fighting the Germans and other tribes. Oftentimes, a Roman general's men would be loyal to the commander first and the republic later. Caesar was known for his unmatched prowess on the battlefield and his immense popularity with his people at home. His genius is celebrated at the siege of Alesia, where Caesar was completely surrounded, yet with a brilliant double line of fortification, he crushed an army of 250,000 reinforcements. The Battle of Zela, where his victory over his enemies was so swift, it was immortalized in 3 words: Vini, Vidi, Vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. He was so popular, in fact, that the Roman Senate ordered him not to return to Rome. We all know the famous decision he had to face crossing the Rubicon. Whenever a smaller army has prevailed over a larger army, their group cohesion, strategy, and tactics have won them the day, exploiting the enemy's dissension in ranks, utilizing psyops or psychological operations, psychological warfare. Terrain and technological superiority has been the hallmark of successful armies throughout time. The allopaths often describe natural health advocates as disorganized, unsophisticated, renegade, a ragtag company of misfits, and worst of all, dangerous. And I must say there's a kernel of truth from their point of view. Are there people claiming all kinds of potions, tinctures, and miracle cures if you only give them your donations? Absolutely yes. Medical doctors have been trained in their disciplines to want some substantive data, evidence, something they can examine, audit, and scrutinize. Let's not worry about the fact that they don't quite allow us to apply the same level of scrutiny to their claims. Their science always seems to be settled. There's no debate, they boast. Yet we must provide evidence. Why can't we say there is no debate? And that you must be part of our orthodoxy in order to even question anything we say. Does that sound at all scientific to anyone? Leaving all that aside, when we get criticized, our rebuttal can't be, and it shouldn't be, what about you? Your field is corrupt. Their being corrupt doesn't automatically prove our legitimacy. It's a common fallacy called whataboutism that we should not fall into this trap of utilizing. It's possible for them and us to be wrong. How do we prove that we're legitimate? Friends, I say with full confidence that the way of natural health science can stand scrutiny, and we've withstood the test of time. We've survived their trans fat, high fructose, ubiquitous use of sugar, big dairy, big meat, big poultry, hormone therapy, vaccinations, DDT, smoking. They're telling us that alcohol is healthy for you, and petrochemical waste being utilized in pharmaceuticals. I can go on all day that time after time we were right and they were wrong. But where is our data? I think our interlocutors have a point. If I'm being completely transparent, we don't have the data in a presentable format. Dr. Arun Sharma has treated thousands of patients, conservatively speaking, and his father and grandfather have treated just as many, if not more. But again, where's that data? Personalities like Biswaroopji, Mohan Gupta, and a few others have gathered some of it and are doing some tremendous work, but we're not there yet. And I'm not excusing ourselves that we don't have the money or funding. Funding needs to be applied for. It's not going to land into our laps. We can do better with data collection, and I think we need to own this criticism. Friends, I don't think that I'm exaggerating when I say that we're locked in a spiritual war between good and evil. We're building systems right now to gather, report on, and present conclusive data, evidence, and protocols to apply for research grants and beat them at their own game. They want evidence based science, we're going to give it to them better than anything they've presented. Because at the end of the day, the truth is plain for everyone to see. When we tell you that eating healthy increases health, it doesn't take a doctorate in medicine for you to know that is true. You don't have to be a clinical psychologist to know hugs make you feel good. Even monkeys know that. Nobody observes a flock of flamingos in the wild or a herd of wildebeest or zebras and remark, what they all need right now is a good dose of vaccines. We come from a camp of common sense, but we need your help. We can't do this alone. Guruji has said many times that he wants to see natural health science reach the masses, the far corners of the earth, and help increase people's level of health. And I intend to help see his dream fulfilled, God willing, in the time he has left with us. Today we have incredibly diverse and enriching lineup of guests joining us. We'll be exploring holistic health and nutrition, diving into intricate connections between mind and body and emotion, and gaining vital insights to environmental and sustainable farming. So without further ado, we have some technical difficulties. My brother is helping set it up.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Very good.
Fantastic. So, Guruji, I had just talked about the concept of data collection, reporting on evidence-based research that we have, and I wanted to get your input on that. What are your views on that?
We have tried to collect some information every time we held a camp. In the initial stages, their physical status, measurements of the chest, waist, and other parts of the body, and then their physical condition, pains, and all that. We listed them, and after the treatment, again we compared them. And we don't have a proper collection where we could present it to research bodies where government can say they have done a good job. So we need to do that formally. Many people have collected, say, their own information. They are all scattered. We have to collect them in one place and make it known to people through proper channels. There is an Ayush ministry in India and National Institute of Naturopathy. All these institutions are supposed to promote our research work. But all the papers that I already submitted to National Institute of Naturopathy, I don't know what happened to it. And they organized a program where they accorded me the doctorate in naturopathy and they gave me a certificate to that effect, and that's it. We further research could not be done further. There was no progress after that. We are continuing to advise patients and we are continuing to do our work, and we need to record them all. Initial stage and treatment given and improvement seen. There is
So this,
tremendous work of comparison. If you compare it to other people who went to medical systems, they went from one disease to another disease and more diseases and more medicines. They started with one medicine and went on to make it a lifestyle to take medicines medicines in the morning, afternoon, evening, and things like that. We consider medicine as the sin of meddling with the body. So we like to change the approach and influence people to follow natural health science, lifestyle, and report regularly their progress.
so we have created a website on IMANAH.com. We have portals where we have modules for camps and courses and events. And we also have a consultation option where we are gathering that evidence. We have created the portal now. We're working on several projects like this where we're going to make services available to the natural health space specifically. And we'll be making further announcements in the future about it. So we're in the implementation phase of the patient portal, and we're smoke testing it, we're live testing it, and we'll have something within 1 week. So we're trying to get everyone onboarded within the team itself. And once they get on board, whatever data that is gathered will be in the centralized location where we can present.
Right now, we have here certain few of our practitioners who have studied from us, and then further research they are doing. They are treating so many patients. We want to ask people like Gauri, Rokkam about whatever patients they have dealt with so far and talk about them a little bit and then take steps to collect the data.
Sounds fantastic.
I'll request Gauri Rokkam to take over.
Folks, there are some people who work behind the scenes silently, humbly. They're the unsung heroes, like our Anant Srinivasan, Nisha Srinivasan that we met a few episodes ago, and our first guest, Dr. Gauri Rokkam, who's a distinguished, holistic, whole food, plant-based nutritionist, yoga and nature cure therapist, and respected visiting lecturer. Dr. Gauri uniquely integrates the principles of nutrition, science, yoga, philosophy, and nature cure to promote evidence-based holistic health. Her passion for evidence-based nutrition led her to conduct 8 years of pioneering research on fresh coconut at SVIASA Yoga University, a global first. Dr. Gauri Rokkam, welcome to the IMANAH Podcast.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to see Guruji anytime. Namaste, Guruji.
So, Dr. Gauri, on the IMANAH Podcast, we like to bring on personalities that have dedicated themselves in the natural health space. And we'd like to know about your background, your journey to natural health.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for this invite. It's absolute pleasure and honor to be speaking in his presence. I see most people look at an option of natural health science as the last option when they have had enough of suffering and pain and they cannot tolerate it anymore. But with me, the story is different. And I'm so thankful and grateful for this kind of a life I was offered without my knowledge. My father is a naturopath and a yoga exponent, besides being biochemistry professor. I don't know, he's very passionate about all the drugless healing therapies. He says the year I was born, he started learning yoga, nature cure, and Vedanta. And after that, there is no stopping at all. He is 91 and is still not stopped teaching and training people. So after that, I think all my childhood, all I have seen is him teaching all the time or conducting workshops, talks, and inviting people from all over the country who were dealing with drugless therapies to conduct retreats and camps. So this was my childhood. I did not understand much of it. I did not learn anything systematically, but I think I absorbed everything in every essence possible. All I remember is from my younger days, I disliked him. Why? Because I would see my neighbors' fathers, friends' fathers, cousins' fathers, that is my uncles, come back home with packets of chips and biscuits and chocolates and things like that. Of course, there wasn't much junk available at that time, but still they would come back with these packets. And my father would come back with bags of fruits, vegetables, greens, sugarcane, groundnuts of different kinds, boiled and roasted and raw and corn and all kinds of things. Of course, we siblings, we were three of them, enjoyed all of it and ate it. But I would always miss this. That little chips and biscuits. And I always felt I wanted to exchange my father to this neighbor's father or somebody like that. I never knew the importance of what he was doing or the value for it. I think growing up, I was very bad at math. And so he decided I should get into home science because it would be helpful for me later in the life. So I thought it was right, and I took up a degree in home science with major as nutrition. Even then, it was not that I was highly interested. I was just an average student, finished my BSc and got married off at 21. And I was very happy because I had no such great goals or purpose or any vision the way these days kids talk about. You ask a 3-year-old, 5-year-old kid, and they'll rattle off their goals and preferences. I had nothing other than I want to get married so that I can eat everything, do everything I want, and sleep around. Just like a Bollywood movie, I thought happily live after that. And I got married to a rich man, and I thought all was well, and I did not know what was coming. And soon, when I knew I was going to become a mother, something changed overnight. I can't describe, I can't get to it, but something happened within. I don't know, it just churned everything inside. And next day morning, I could see myself. I wanted to become the best of the mother, and I wanted to do everything right for my child. And in that process, now my father became godfather. My father became the hero. And I want to do everything what he did for me and how he brought us up. So suddenly everything changed for me. And the books which I read couple of weeks before my exams and closed it and kept now became my guides. I looked into every single book of which I had. I dug into everything possible. I started learning more, understanding more, enrolled into different courses available to understand more deeper. And I think I experimented with myself, my children, my family. It was a very intense process for me in those 8-9 years. I did understand a lot of it, but I still felt I wanted deeper knowledge. These little courses gave me a lot of different perspectives, but I was not satisfied with what I was understanding and getting answers from my father. I would always feel this is not logical. I don't think he knows right, or he's not telling me completely. Something of this kind, completely confusing. So I said, I'll go back and do my master's. And I went to full-time college and did 2 years of master's degree in food and nutrition with almost 15 years younger girls with me, and I absolutely had fun. And this time the learning was absolutely for me, and it was very deep, and I enjoyed and was very interested in what I was looking for. But still, I would say neither my textbooks nor my teachers could answer some of the questions deeply I had. Not a complete satisfying answer. I finished my master's standing first in the university. Everybody was proud around me, but I knew my pain. I was thoroughly confused. At least earlier, I knew what my father taught me. Now I had absolutely contradicting concepts from the modern medical nutrition, almost in every sense. So I did not know what was right, but I always felt what I read and understood was right because that's science for me. But I also knew my experience of what my father was doing, that was right. So this was very conflicting, and it was a problem for quite some time. And then I think in another 6 years of this kind of work and struggling, I came across Dr. Nagratnaji's lecture somewhere just by chance. And she's the medical director and co-founder of S. Vyasa Yoga University, a Dr. Allopath herself. But what I found in her lectures was that she could relate every single disease to the mind and the research which was happening in the university and how they were finding results or solutions through yoga and pranayama and all our yogic systems. That was fascinating. I joined that, and then I did their yoga instructors course, therapy courses, and then I started doing my research there. During all this time is when I heard that Dr. Lakshman Sharma's grandson was coming to Bangalore for the first time. and he was giving a lecture. I had heard a lot about Dr. Lakshman Sharma ji from my father because he had learnt a lot these basics from Dr. Lakshman Sharma and his son, that is your grandfather. And I
Ganesh.
was very excited to meet him. I went to the lecture. I was standing at the end because the hall was completely packed. And I was just wanting to check if this was interesting or to go inside. And I could just leave if it was not. Very soon, I made my way to the front and I was sitting right under his nose because it was so interesting what he was telling. And this is what I was looking for and which was missing. And very soon at the end of the lecture, I had enrolled for 1 week Polachi physical course. And very soon I got him to come to Bangalore and we did the first Bangalore course. One of my friend, Shiva, helped me arrange and organize this. And after the course, I think I went on to do the advanced course and then attended many of his basic courses. Each one of them was so enlightening and empowering because what he explained would be so simple and he would explain it through stories which anybody from any background could understand and appreciate it. And the most important thing was very significant, potent concepts he would explain with his experiences. And that was very touching, not just for me, it would touch everybody present there. I think that made a huge impact. And by the time I finished these courses, I was very clear and I had mapped everything in my head how I was going to change my way of working and thinking. First was with adopting. I took some time adopting all of that which I learned, and I went to every clinic in Kormangla, Bangalore, saying, I know all of this. I can integrate all of this. And I had decided I would be the bridge between nature cure and the modern medical nutrition, because modern
Wow.
medical nutrition is very reductionist in application. Break down the body into its parts, break down the
Yeah.
food into its parts, and never can we achieve reversal of diseases because it never works in that kind of isolation. It's
Mm.
always working together and in synergy to give us the desired results. So I understood this much. I went to every clinic and said, I can do this, because it was all theoretical right now. Nobody listened to me. Some of the doctors listened to me and said, I'm sorry, we don't need anyone like this. Some of them refused to listen also. And then this boy called Shiva, who had helped me organize this Guruji's workshop, he said, I think you should stop running around, sit somewhere. I took his advice, took a place in one of the nice clinics there in Kormangla. And after some time, one lady walked in who was a bank manager. She had obesity, diabetes, dyslipidemia, blood pressure, headaches, regular headaches. And she said, I heard about you and I just want to try. I put my heart and soul into it. I probably, if I look back, I will tell you, I almost killed her with ensuring that she does everything I knew and I wanted her to do. And I generally take 4 or 5 weeks to correct all their habits. And after 5 weeks, I told her, practice everything, get all the tests done after 3 months and come back. After around 3.5 months, she calls back and she says, I want to come and meet you. I was still very scared. I said, can you tell me why and what? She said, no, I want to come and meet you tomorrow. I was expecting everything possible. She comes and she hugs me and she is in tears and she says, I got my reports. I didn't believe. So I went to a bigger path lab and got the results done again. So, and my doctor says, you have reversed all the diseases you had. You can stop all the medications. And he asked me, how the hell did you manage to do all of this? And from
Wow.
then on, there is no looking back. I've been working in this way and helping people help themselves. And this is my journey. And I thank everybody who's been contributing to my understanding and knowledge. And I'm so grateful to all of them, especially Guruji. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Dr. Gauri, your research on fresh coconut was first of its kind globally and was published in a top journal. Can you share some of the most surprising or impactful findings from your work on coconut's nutritional value and health benefits?
Right. That was the time when a lot of clients would come and say, I don't want to eat coconut. Why? Because my cardiologist has told me that it's bad for heart. And so they refuse to eat because nobody wants to believe a nutritionist, right? Doctor is a god for everybody, even today. If they say something, it is taken for granted. Nobody even thinks about it. So I had hard time to tell them. And I myself was kind of, what's happening? People in Kerala have been dipping themselves in everything around in coconut and coconut oil.
That's right.
And even in Karnataka, we use a lot of coconut. Nature Cure says it is a complete food. Yoga philosophy says it's precious. And why is it nutrition science says something against it? What does nutrition say about it? It is 92% saturated fat. And with research, right in 1850s, with Dr. Keyes formulating it, he said saturated fats are bad for heart because saturated fats can clog the arteries and veins and lead to decreased supply or stopping the supply to the heart. And so they're bad for heart. And because coconut also falls into that basket of 92% saturated fats, coconuts were also banned for eating.
Wow.
So I started working with this. I took this proposal to every possible research institute in Bangalore. Everybody said, what is there to research more? We know 92% saturated fat. We know saturated fats are bad for health. There is nothing more to do. But when I took this proposal to Dr. Nagendraji, the chancellor and founder of S. Vyasa Yoga University, he said, this is the kind of research we should be doing in this institute. And Dr. Manjunath, who is the head of Anveshana, the research institute, happily agreed to fund, and Government of India funded it. And what we found is it is not discovering anything. Everything was already, facts were all recorded. What is the fact? That coconut, even though it is 92% saturated fat, it is made with medium chain fats. That is simply, in a common man's language, the fats present in coconut are very short. Because where they are very short, they don't get into the systemic blood circulation at all. They don't come into body circulation. As soon as they are absorbed from the intestine, they go directly to the liver, and liver processes it to release energy, and that is preferentially used for physical activity and the functions of the body. So when it doesn't even circulate in the blood system, where is the question of clogging the heart? This was so simple. And that we had to prove using different ways. And we proved it it took me 8 years of working, but it was 3 months of intense research on human beings. And we proved that it neither harms the heart because it increased HDL and decreased certain parameters which are inflammatory and bad for the heart. It decreased body weight, it decreased blood pressure, it decreased blood sugars, it increased iron content, that is hemoglobin content, a lot more. So that was the findings of the paper, and it was published in one of the prestigious journals called the American College of Nutrition. And once they accept, you accept, I think globally everybody accepts once America accepts it. And during that time, a lot of research papers also came out saying coconut is not bad for heart. And that's how it became popular. And sadly, this is again exploited. Instead of providing or telling people to eat fresh coconut or copra, they are made into capsules and sold for millions of dollars. And sadly, this is what research is used for. And to answer your question, I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, thank you. And on that, what is the difference between the medium chain triglyceride and fractioned coconut oil that you use for cosmetic and culinary?
See, what I used in the research was fresh coconut. We had two
Okay.
groups of people, one group of 40 and the other group of 40. That the first group of 40 were getting everything made with groundnut oil, not even a gram of coconut or anything related to coconut. The other group got coconut and coconut oil. because the research already shows that groundnut is a mono unsaturated fat and they're good for heart. We had to compare this with that and prove that it is equivalent to that or much better. Some of the parameters were much better than the groundnut research, and some were equal to the groundnut research parameters. And so we could prove that this was really good.
I see. So the whole confusion between the short chain fatty acids
Medium.
and the medium chain, that has to do with the actual oil content and not the coconut itself, huh?
See, these are all short and medium. When it comes to short chain fatty acids, it's ghee and butter. When it is medium chain fatty acids, it's coconut and palm. These four things don't go into the blood circulation. That is why they behave differently, even though they're saturated. So that is the bottom line we need to understand. But having said that does not mean you can eat dabbas and dabbas of all of this and expect it to do any miracle. Everything has a limit. But eating fresh coconut, in our research, we used 100 grams of fresh coconut per person per day. That's huge amount. 100 grams is huge amount. So if that can do benefits, eating lesser amount on a daily basis is not going to harm. But again, having said this, you should also see what else is happening. You increase coconut, it's good for your health, but you go on eating other things like sugars or oils and bondas, bhajis, vadas, all kinds of wrong things, the refined foods and sugars, and also include coconut and say coconut is bad. That is what is happening today. People in Kerala had never heart diseases. Cardiovascular diseases were very rare. When? 50 years back, 60 years back. Today, they are also eating like this. All the junk, all the sugar, all the factory made foods. Wrong lifestyle, wrong eating. And that is where they're blaming the coconut, not looking at their unhealthy lifestyle and food.
I see. So in the different various stages of the coconut, you have the jelly stage, and then you have the partially formed stage, then you have the muttified, coconut. Which is the one that you use for your research, or did you use all of them?
Yeah, no. It was only fresh coconut because we had to look at what was used in cooking, what was used as a garnish, whether it was going to harm us or not. And my whole concept is whole food. What was whole in that? It was the fresh coconut. So anything extracted, you lose the original contents of what nature had made. So
No,
the
all of those are fresh. So when you look at
yes.
the jelly state of the coconut, that's also fresh, right? Or no?
No,
That's
yes.
not what you
But
meant.
mine was only on fresh coconut because, see, one itself took 8 years of research. So if we go on broadening or adding things, it becomes multiple and we will never end it. So
Right.
it is necessary to do maybe especially on tender coconut water. And as you said, that jelly, the thin paper-like structure. But what mature coconut does is it absorbs everything which is there inside and it has all the contents. So that is
See.
why, because it was used in cooking, this is what I looked at. But of
Okay.
course, lot of research can be done in different levels.
So when you said fresh, you mean mature coconut.
Yes.
Okay, I got that. So how can we establish evidence-based science and research in the natural health space that we're in?
As Guruji was talking rightly, we need to collect data before and after. But the problem here, what I see is because multiple factors are involved, right? Even when we give them prescriptions, it is not about correcting one particular thing in a food or one particular thing in lifestyle. No, we are giving literally tens of prescriptions. Do sunbath, exposed to water, or everything, fasting. So how do you pinpoint from this is what it happened? So here also we need to look at holistically. We did all of this and this was the result. Is what we can prove. We cannot prove like all other researches. Like take certain parameters, take certain units and say, oh, this is what did this. Cannot be proved is what I feel is one thing. But second thing, we need to have that kind of people who will take up the research. See, using this on real people, we have to have a group of people living at that place and adhering to our principles for a longer period of time. So that is the biggest challenge. And for us also in the study, SVSA Yoga whenever university had to create a separate kitchen, separate dining, and we had to catch hold of these 80 people for 3 long months. They cannot eat anything outside. Everything was planned from the time they wake up to they go to sleep, and they were not allowed to go out of the gates of the university. And
Wow.
thankfully, university is very far away from the city, and nothing was available around the university. So a lot of things were taken care of. So to do real food basis research is quite challenging, and we should have that kind of people also who will take it up. So we have to look into a lot of other aspects. Yes, but it is not impossible.
I'm sorry about that. What do you think about you've been to the Valachi camp. What if there was a facility built there for such research?
Yes, lot of things have to be done for collecting of data at every certain period of time, maybe every week, weekly, monthly collection has to be there, and they should not be allowed to go from there. That is the biggest challenge I feel is in front of us. But people who are suffering and who are ready to take it up, maybe we'll not be able to do it as a group. This group comes, we take the parameters and follow up with them, might not be possible, right? So that is the biggest challenge, which I don't
I,
know
su-
solutions for.
I suppose it's unethical to do that kind of research on prisoners.
I don't know. Why not? Of course, probably yes. We are not giving them anything. We are giving them health. We are giving them food and nothing
Right.
else. If there is a facility where the jailer can understand what we are doing it for and agrees to experiment, I think that would be a great idea.
What about you mentioned just a minute ago that you don't believe that you can test for variances in your evidence-based research, but what if you were to, is it a matter of not having enough funding, or is it a matter of just not having the possibility to do so? Let's say you mentioned we have a dozen different therapies that we prescribe, tona, sun gazing, all these things.
Mm.
Isn't it possible to then take a control group and then just take that one of those factors away and then see how it works?
Correct. But let's say sunlight.
Hmm.
What are you trying to prove? Because we are doing a holistic work, is when part of it is sunlight, isn't it?
Hmm. Right.
Just sunlight might give you certain effects. But what we are seeing right now is reversal of diseases from cold to cancer. How
Hmm.
did that happen? Because of all of this together. One thing did not give complete health. All of them together gave that holistic health. So at this point in time, to answer your question, I'm unable to. But probably, yes, we could all sit together and see if there is a possibility. And also coming to research, I did my work of research and I ended there. Research did not interest me. Clinicals interest me more because I can work with real people and I can see those results on a daily basis. They
Right.
simply come up and say, I slept very well yesterday. That's good enough for me to get good sleep.
Right.
So every small little things, every single day they get excited. I was having headache for 20 years and suddenly I don't see any headache one single day. So all these things are something more fascinating to me. And so I switched from research to clinicals. But
Mm.
yes, we can sit with researchers and see what best can be done. I think SVSA has a huge facility for research and we
Hmm.
can look into it.
Fantastic. I spoke to Dr. Manjunathji, president of SVSA, and we had a great conversation about the research that they're doing and the facilities that they have. It's quite fascinating. What do you say about
Yes.
the complaint that in a lot of natural health space, people say we don't have the funding, we don't have the necessary research grants and those kinds of things? What is your response to them?
It was quite difficult for me also. Well, I went to the government with my proposal. They asked me 100 million questions and answering all of them. Still, they said, okay, I went to the Coconut Development Board because they were concerned with the coconut and they would be, if coconuts were proved healthy. So
Right.
they said, oh, no, we will give you half of it. But Dr. Manjunath, even without blinking, he said, it's okay. Whatever they give, we will put the rest of it and we will do it. So
Wow.
I think this kind of a partnership between the government agency and centers like this, like have Dharmasthala, huge organizations. We have huge NIN, Pune, and everything connected with yoga, nature cure. I think they are the institutions and organizations who might be interested in such kind of work. I'll help them also because they are into real work, and I'm sure they will be interested, and it could be possible, especially these
Right.
days.
Well, Dr. Gauri, your Heal Thyself program focuses on ahar, vihar, and vichar, the diet, lifestyle, and thoughts. How do you help individuals understand and address the interconnectedness of those three pillars for sustainable health?
Right. I think everybody knows this, but it is just that they don't connect it. Have craving for sugar. I cannot stop eating sugar. Is it my plate which is a problem? No, it is my mind, right?
Mm.
What is the way out here? Not struggling with my plate. I need to work on my mind, right? When Guruji says, have a purposeful to do, this is what he means. When he says, when you have a purpose, when you put your mind into something deeper in helping others, then this simply dissolves. I, a student of Vedanta now, understand a lot deeper meaning from what Guruji used to say those days. A lot of things were simply statements in my head. But now, understanding a bit of Vedanta, I understand so much of what he said. What he said makes sense to me now because once you have a right occupation which gives you satisfaction, by the end of the day, you feel contented, you feel peace of mind, you feel calm in the mind, your nervous system is calm, your sympathetic activity is not happening at all, and parasympathetic activity is happening. So then you get a good deep sleep, you wake up fresh, your day goes good. So just by fixing one thing, sleep, we'll fix so many other things through the next day, and day after day is what we need to work. And this is very simple. Once you understand, help them understand. No, they do understand. I think it is the language. I had that advantage. Modern medical nutrition gave me that edge of understanding body, anatomy, physiology well, and also using that scientific language to make my client understand. And that is where that faith and trust comes in. And once they trust us, whatever you say, they're going to do. And once they do, there is no looking back.
That's true. In your book, Craft Your Wellness, you bridge ancient wisdom, as you mentioned, Vedanta, with modern nutrition science. What are some key pieces of ancient wisdom that you find are still profoundly relevant and often overlooked in contemporary health discussions?
One of the basic things today I see is all of us are rushing aimlessly. I'm behind something, and it is what is creating the stress. And this constant chronic stress is what is killing us. And Vedanta gives a lot of insights to handle life in a different way altogether and bring meaning to it. For example, most of us, let me just take my own example. I had a lot of in my personal life going wrong. And my whole question was, why? I have not done anything wrong. Why things are going wrong with my life? This why question was haunting me. And I found answer in Vedanta. It is very simple when Vedanta says, what has happened? Why are you finding whys? Just see what can you do now. So anyway, the past is over, right? What can I do about it? I'm ruining my present also and future also, right? So small insights from Vedanta can calm us down. Once the mind is calm, there is a huge clarity. Once there is clarity, we are not emotionally bound. We are able to make the right choices and decisions. And that is what helped me personally. And I feel really that whatever is happening for something good, in the sense of I'm learning my life's lessons. I'm here. This is a bigger university. I am here to learn my life's lessons. Whatever is coming in my life is for me to learn something. So constantly I'm looking at what am I learning? Why did I get into this situation and what can I learn? Now, the problems in my life have become challenges. And I'm joyfully looking at what can I learn. And learning them and becoming a better human being. So that is what on a daily basis I have learned from Vedanta, to just do my duties the best way I can and keep going. That's it.
I'm very interested in what you just touched upon. Whatever happened in the past has happened. How does an individual deal with that? Do we just ignore it and let it happen again? Or do we channel it somehow so we can do retrospective analysis and then say, this is what happened. How do we avoid it from happening in the future, etc.? What are your views on that?
See, what I have figured out is we generally listen to the mind, and mind is not a tool to depend upon. Why? Mind is very chanchala. That is, it fluctuates. It tells
Right.
me right now I have gulab jamun in front of me. Its mind says it's bad, it's unhealthy, don't eat. But in the next very second, my mind will come back and tell me, it's okay to eat once in a way, no? What will happen? Will you kill yourself if you eat one gulab jamun? It is important to be in this social group where everybody is eating and you talk something else, right? That is bad, honestly. So eating one gulab jamun is not bad idea. This is what mind tells me. But there is something called higher mind, which is intellect.
Mm.
Intellect has the capacity to discriminate. It questions, it reasons out, it researches. It says, what is there in gulab jamun? What is gulab jamun made up of? Deep fried milk concentrates and sugar. It has researched, it has questioned me, it is telling me all, each one of them are unhealthy. Now, when I think calmly and allow my intellect to work, then there is clarity and I can make my right decision. Guruji says beautifully this dual effect, so it is very beautifully explained. All of these connects happened to me once I started learning all of this. So those are little important things at every point in time in a day-to-day life. If I can slow down, if I can pause, if I can give that time, that's the problem. We don't have time. We are running, rushing. If we can slow down, I can put my intellect there, not my mind. When I put my intellect for every single thing in a day-to-day life, I know what to choose, this or that. Not listening to my mind was the biggest achievement. And I not that I have achieved anything. Understanding intellectually has happened. It's, I think, work in progress. I have just got a little better there.
So what you're saying is apply the intellect to what happened and learn how to compartmentalize and move forward.
Do our
Interesting.
best at every point. That's all. It is not possible to do everything right. Your situation and the events in your life and my life, I might be able to do this and you might be able to do that. I cannot compare with yours because my life events are different. So
Right.
at that point, what best I can do, only my conscious knows that this is the best I could do. That's all.
Right.
So no comparison, no complaints, no looking forward. Just keep doing at the moment, and I think life becomes beautiful.
Great answer. What role does mental and emotional well-being or vichar play in the overall success of physical health transformation based on your extensive experience with clients?
I think that's the most important. I started off with, as a nutritionist, thinking my job is to correct people's diets. Yes, it did help, but I knew nothing more than correcting the symptoms, probably. And then I said, no, I need to change their lifestyle also. Eating right perfectly 100% and having a very bad lifestyle is not going to help. So I started bringing in small little changes. Then I understood, if mind is constantly working, chattering and stressed, eating right, living right can hardly make any difference. It is the mind to work on. Everybody has to slow down and become aware. And when we get awareness of what we are doing every moment, I think self-correction happens. Nobody, no expert needs to be there to guide us, to tell us, or do anything. If we slow down, think something from inside comes out and we know what is right. And many times I've experienced in my life, something gets revealed from within, which I've heard Guruji tell time and again. that this revolution will happen when you reflect upon something very intensely. But I have had some insights into it, but sure it happens to everybody.
Great answer again. Is there anything else you'd like to let our viewers know?
I think when Guruji is present, I'm nobody to say anything, but slowing down is all we need to do. And yes, when we slow down, we will start reflecting upon our life only. What am I eating? What am I doing in my life? This was the biggest question Indians asked.
Right.
Spirituality was all of that. Ask this biggest question of who am I? Our ancient people answered this one question, and with this quest, they did everything and lived their life beautifully, I think. And if we can slow down and ask these questions, who other than people from India can have better insights into it? We have everything. It's just that we have to go back to our roots.
That's fantastic. So, like, I do resonate with that as well. Life is getting faster and faster, world is getting smaller and smaller, and
Yeah,
our time, our vitality, our lives are being robbed. So, unless you slow down, you're just going to burn through life at a high
absolutely.
velocity and don't have the time to enjoy anything. So,
Yes.
wise words, Dr. Gauri. And thank you so much for coming on the IMANAH podcast. And I'd like to invite our next guest, Archana Kulkarni, whose journey is a testament to passion and purpose. Archana built a successful corporate career over 14 years as a US certified public accountant with global organizations like KPMG and GE, and would like to know about her life and her journey. Welcome to the
Nam-
IMANAH podcast, Archana.
Namaste, everyone. Thank you so much, Umar for having me on this podcast. This is especially exciting to be sharing the platform with Guruji, who I deeply admire. He's had such a tremendous influence on shaping my health journey and health with a lot of fearlessness, courage, and a lot of knowledge. So, thank you so much for having me here.
Great. So, Archana, could you tell us a little bit about your background, please? Your upbringing and what led you towards natural health?
Sure. So I was born and brought up in Hyderabad, and I lived there for most part of my life until I moved to Delhi for work. And then after working there for a few years, I got married and moved to the US. So I have always been a very ambitious person, and I wanted to achieve something really big in my life. And so after I moved to the US, I pursued my higher studies, did my master's in accounting, and got a certification, public accountant, which is equivalent to chartered accountancy here in India. And I was placed with one of the big four, KPMG, and we lived there for a few years, and it was all fine. And then my daughter was born. So first experience with health was when I first got pregnant, and was a very difficult pregnancy. They diagnosed something called preeclampsia in the US, and they did not know what were the causes of that. So preeclampsia is basically your blood pressure shoots up. And when I talked to the doctors there, knew what it was, what was the cause of it. The doctors took me to the hospital there, and they said, "Hey, we probably know most of them, but this one we don't know what causes." And that intrigued me. Is it that the doctors don't know what causes it? Because according to me, I was living a very healthy lifestyle, and they are not able to point out what's wrong. And then it was a very week 23rd of pregnancy, they had to do an emergency C-section, and it was a premature baby, and all of that. So it was a really not a very good phase of my life at that point in time. And I've always been a health enthusiast. A lot of diseases in my immediate family and extended family growing up, and I was like, I want to be staying away from these things. I don't know what I'm going to do, but as much as knowledge that I focus on my health is what I had resolved as a child. So that first pregnancy, there was absolutely nothing. I was just perfectly fine. And then I was on blood pressure medication for some time in the US, and nobody was able to me with answers like, what is it that I'm doing wrong? Is there anything that I'm consuming wrong that is causing this? So the doctors had no answers. Most of them said that it's just a lifestyle disease and it just happens. It's very common. I was not convinced with that. But then came back to India in 2014, and my daughter was just 2.5 at that point in time. And so I decided to quit my career because my husband is also a businessman and he was very busy. And with my accountancy, we really literally had to spend a lot of hours at work. And with a small child at home, it was getting difficult. I didn't want to hand her over to nannies or daycare centers, nor did I want to burden my in-laws. So that was a natural choice for me to working at that point in time. And quest for healthy living and all that continued. So I was, levels of truth came to me at different points in time, and I embraced them. So when we moved back to India, there was this new thing about milk, right? So this A2 milk is supposed to be very good, and you're supposed to be consuming it to avoid calcium deficiencies or to prevent osteoporosis. And so, being the health enthusiast that I was, so I was like, what is going to prevent it? Consume milk. And so, where I lived, there was a big ashram, and good A2 milk was available, and I was consuming that. And then after some time, I started experiencing a lot of acidity and bloating and burning sensation in my chest area. And so then I went to doctor to try to figure out what is it that I'm doing wrong. I don't understand what is it. I know I don't eat out. I don't eat a lot of junk food. So why this sudden burning sensation? And none of the doctors were able to explain. So I went to one of the biggest hospitals, Bangalore, and the gastroenterologist there told me that it's very common. Take that medication too, and you just have to be on this medication for the rest of your life to relief from this. And I was like, doesn't make sense. I'm too young to be on lifelong medication, and the doctor's not even telling me what is wrong. Is it that I can change to have this burning sensation? Then reluctantly, I had no option, so I started taking those medications. And this was during the COVID times. Bumped into information about what dairy does to your body and how it produces so many diseases, and the cruelty aspect as well was in front of me around that same time. So another issue that I was going through during the same time was IBS, but the doctors weren't able to diagnose. So I was literally not able to digest anything, and I would use the restroom a lot of times. And I was like, oh my God, what's suddenly happening? And for me, the helplessness that I was facing was that nobody is able to tell me what it is. What is it that I can do, rectify, to be able to not have these symptoms? But nobody was able to help. And so then I bumped into this information about the harmful effects. I have always been a vegetarian. So the harmful impact of dairy on health, the environment, and of course the cruelty aspect. So the cruelty aspect really stood out for me. At that point in time, I did not know what veganism meant. I did not know what plant-based foods were and why one should be consuming those. And so when I on the website of Sharan, .org, I saw so many things for the first time, and saw that the cows and the buffaloes were artificially impregnated. All mammals, the cows also, they're pregnant, they produce milk, and that's the milk we consume, right? In order for the farms to be they just artificially impregnate the cows over and over again throughout their childbearing age. And so that to me, and that's a very painful process. The cows, it's extremely painful. So that is one. And then the calves.
I understand they wear like a arm length glove to impregnate the cow.
Yes, and the cows are in excruciating pain, the cows and buffaloes, and just remain pregnant year after year until they are no longer able to calves, and so then they're sent to the slaughterhouses. So I was very taking pride in the fact that I'm a vegetarian. I'm at least not contributing to killing the animals, but little did I know that the demand for milk, the choices that I was making, was indirectly contributing to all of that. And I'm a mother, so a few things that I noticed there was, again, even more painful, because the calves are separated from the cows. Once the dairy farms don't want the calves to be consuming that milk, they want us to be consuming that. So they're separated, they're not given the mother's milk, the cows can't even see them. And then again, they are sent to those slaughterhouses. They are injected a lot of injections to increase the production of milk, so that we can enjoy our cup of tea and ice cream and coffee and so many other things that we're so addicted to. So that to me was like, oh my God, I can't imagine being a mother. It's happening to another mother. And just because she's not able to speak, they're taking undue advantage of that. and putting those animals through so much torture so that we can enjoy our cup of tea and coffee. So before that, I was very fond of ghee and paneer and those kind of things. Once I was exposed to this information, it was just an overnight decision for me that dairy is not definitely going to be a part of my life anymore. It was just, a lot of people tell me, so used to having our products, and how is it that you were able to give it up so easily? So for me, it was not even so much about my health at that point in time. It was about how can anybody do such acts when you know that your choices are having such a deep impact on the animal world. So I stopped taking that, and then simultaneously I was taking medications for the acidity and bloating and stuff like that. So there I got to know that once you stop dairy, your health improves and reverse a lot of diseases. That was like an aha moment for me, because remember, from my pregnancy times, there was nobody telling me what was wrong and what choices that I was making were wrong that can help me enjoy better health. So for the first time, I heard that diseases could be reversed. And that was like a big thing for me. Like, is that really true? So being the skeptical person I was, I didn't believe one organization or one website. And then I did my own research in terms of what some other people are saying. Is there anything that the other organizations saying on the same lines that can increase my faith? So then I found a bunch of that were claiming that dairy is the major cause of lifestyle diseases. So then I stopped taking that pill. Of course, I had stopped consuming dairy. So after about 15 days or 20 days, before that, I had stopped, not taking that acidity pill to see if that really helps. Maybe it was just a temporary thing that I was going through, and maybe I don't need this medication. Again, that was a very small issue. I wouldn't recommend anybody to stop medication without doctor's supervision, but it was just for acidity. So I thought, let me just see if I can stop this medication and see if it helps. And before that, whenever I tried, it would be back with more force, the burning sensation. So now after stopping dairy for 15 days, and I decided, like, let me see what happens one day if I don't take it. And miraculously, nothing happened. And that was the first time in so many months that I had experienced a level of comfort without any medication. And was an aha moment for me. That was my first victory. So then my faith in that was published became stronger. And so then I started researching more in terms of, is that just dairy, or is there other things that we can do to improve our health? Because the number of diseases I had seen in the family, I wanted to remain healthy. I wanted to do the right thing. And of course, there is only so much you can do, and beyond that, it's beyond your control. But I got naturally interested in health. Oh my God, such a small switch you make and you can experience so many benefits. Like, the doctor had told me I had to be on lifelong medication for that. And here I am, I healed myself with just a simple switch. Then I started getting more interested in health, and then I bumped into Arun Sharma ji and natural lifestyle and Sharan and Sattvic movement, and you learned about the importance of eating salads and fruits. And of course, I was a very cautious eater. I was not indulging in so much of junk food, but understood the intricacies of needs to be consumed in what sequence and what combinations and all those things that were like big moments. And I kind of a person who implements something that I learned. Great, and people are talking about it. I have an open mind, so I try, and that's what I encourage viewers to do. A lot of times we have these set notions that this doesn't work, and about it, but I'm sure it's not going to work. Just have an open mind. You can just experiment. You don't even have to go plant-based the rest of your life. Try it for a few months. If you have an open mind, you're going to be able to try it for some time, and then you will see the benefits yourself. And then there needs to be any convincing by any person, because you're going to feel so much lighter, much better, that you wouldn't want to change your ways yourself. But have to have that open mind. So then I was able to blood pressure, and that was coming from my pre days, and acidity and bloating. So that was the end of it. For me, it was like, oh my God, I would have probably been another individual consuming a lot of medications for the conditions that I was experiencing at that point in time. And maybe, I don't know, with more medications that I'm taking, a few other issues may crop in the future. So I have saved myself, was the feeling. And I was so grateful to all these mentors, including Arun Sharma ji, who taught us ways of eating and living, and 5 elements that go a long way in healing us, no matter how much we have abused our bodies. years, nature is so gentle and our body is so forgiving. No matter what we've done to it, if we are to embrace new ways of living, healthy ways of living and eating, the body forgives you and restores your health back to normal. So when I decided that I don't want to keep this to myself and I should spread the word, because there's so many people like me who may be struggling and who want an answer, right? I'm that person who wants to do all the right things, but if I'm still not guaranteed good health, then what is the point? So then that's when I took my health in my own hands, and that's when I decided that I'm going to be helping people in the health field.
So, Archana, earlier, as I was hearing you talk, you said that when you were having your initial issues, your doctor admitted it's a lifestyle disease.
Yes.
They not have any idea how to reverse lifestyle choices.
Not at all. They did not even believe in reversal. In fact, any allopathic doctor you talk to will tell you that diseases cannot be reversed. You have to be on lifelong medication. In fact, they're scared out of wits when somebody says that we're not reversed. So they don't believe that anything can be reversed, nor do they know the causes, lifestyle choices that you're making. Of course, they speak very generically, avoid junk food and avoid oils and those kind of things. But there's nobody talking about the importance of eating raw fruits and vegetables and grains that we are choosing, the time that we are eating. So there's not so much coaching they do in that respect. So it's all about, you have this disease, we don't know the cause, and you have to be on this medication for the rest of your life. So that's where my frustration was. Is it that you're doctors, somebody has a bad lifestyle and bad eating patterns, that they get those diseases? But for somebody who's focused on health, how is it that you're not able to help us? This was my burning question deep within.
So, if you guys just reflect generally on the amount of time a typical allopathic doctor spends with you in his clinic, wonder how on earth this person can give me an advice. He doesn't know anything about me. He doesn't know my sleeping patterns, my diet, my activity, my routines. He knows nothing. He spends all about 2 minutes looking over your charts and your weights and measures, and then punching it into whatever they've got, and outputting a list of tests and drugs as prescriptions. This is the way that they kind of human beings, like some sort of you can punch in robotic kind of response. So it's emphasized that mental and emotional well-being are as important, if not more, than physical health. Could you explain the intricate ways our thoughts and emotions manifest physically and contribute to the imbalances in our body?
Absolutely. So experience has been that you will be living a very vibrant life, eating the choicest of foods, the right foods. You may be exercising, you may be doing all the right things from a physical standpoint. But if you are not healed mentally and emotionally, you have a lot of relationship issues, you're not happy with yourself, there's a lot of stress that you're undergoing on a day-to-day basis, you will not be in a position to digest the great foods that you're consuming. The great food is not going to do much good to you and going to be stuck in that rut. Versus somebody who's sorted mentally and emotionally, he may not be eating the most nutritious foods, but he's still going to be able to maintain that health, right? So, of course, both are important. They go hand in hand. But what impacts the other more is the emotional and mental health. And I see that in today's day and age, people are just so stressed about so many things, right? From workplace, which gives them a lot of stress. There's a lot of competition there. There's a lot of politics people talk about. They have to go through on a day-to-day basis. At least in our previous generation, it used to be stress at work, and our fathers used to come back home, and at home it used to be a beautiful environment, right? Where the wife was there, the kids were, there were some moments of happiness that they'd experience. But in today's day and age, there's a lot of conflict in families, which is crazy. So from one battlefield, you come to another battlefield at home. And so then where is the respite? Where are you ever going to heal? Right? So
that's true. It almost seems like it's deliberately engineered like that.
Absolutely, because the stress levels are also because of the factors like couple working, bring their own stress back home. And then the children, they don't have enough time to give to their children. And then there are issues with the children that need to be resolved, but they don't have enough time. And so then they want them to be away from the gadgets, but unfortunately, because of their extended meetings, they tell their children, hey, take this iPad, I'm working so hard. And what am I working hard for? So that I can give you all the gadgets and really take
Mm,
very good care of you. And so then it results in kids going in a different tangent altogether, right? When they are so addicted to gadgets, there's no human connection. There's nobody to look at them and ask, how was your day? What is it that you're currently struggling with? Gauriji mentioned it's an extremely fast-paced life that we are leading, and there is no time for reflection. And we are just waking up the next day with the same levels of stress without addressing, without taking a moment back, back to figure out what is it, where am I going wrong, where can I improve my life and my relationships. There is no being paid to those aspects, and as a result of which, lifestyle diseases are definitely on the way, and they are on the rise. So stress with bad eating habits are a sure short combination recipe for lifestyle diseases.
right. So if, for example, ideally you have, let's say, 100 people who get together and they want to do something together, what are some of those activities that they can do to help each other, as you mentioned, slow time and recover some of that stolen life and vitality from you? What can a group of people do?
Group of people can do a lot of things. They can more outdoor activities versus just going to a mall and just shopping. A lot of times we are in that world where our neighbor has bought something and we want to mimic our neighbor. We really need that product or not is not the question that is being asked at all. So my neighbor has a brand new car and very car, and I really work very hard to be able to match that. So down also means that you are just figuring out a minimalistic way of living, doing things together, like you're doing a lot of outdoor work, you are meditating, you are socializing for a meaningful cause, right? We socialize in bars and just to have entertainment, but socializing to understand what is it that we can learn from each other, some of the challenges we are facing as a group, and what are some of the solutions that we can brainstorming that we can do as a group. Socializing is such an important factor, which is almost non-existent in today's day and age. We are so busy working, and we're so busy entertaining ourselves by going to expensive vacations and going to movies and going for shopping, but there is no deeper level socializing that is happening in today's day and age. Earlier, at least, we used to live in joint families where there were elements of socializing there within the family. At least we used to have bigger families and didn't feel lonely. But now with just nuclear families, the nuclear families are becoming smaller and smaller. There's not so much interaction with the extended families as well. So make it a point to have as many people over, because my daughter's 14 and she's to pursue her Bharatanatyam and Carnatic. And very person, she loves meeting people and worked hard for that to happen, because when you're surrounded by people and there is a social element added to your life and your children see it that way, they're more likely to connect with people than they connect to gadgets. Because I've seen a lot of this generation, they are so addicted to their gadgets. Even when there is a whole lot of people around them, they don't even notice them. They're just dug in their phones. And they are missing that emotional connection with people. You have nothing to do with people. And
That's true.
so that's where we are headed as a society. So it's important to bring in that human connection, whether it is in your extended families, your circles, right? So that community building, that socializing is definitely something that we should all do, I think.
Fantastic. I really love talking to people like yourself, Archana ji, because just as you just spoke, an idea just popped into my mind. We know about many matchmaking websites for marriage. As a matter of fact, Imana has launched a side project, and we're going to go live within a week or two with a matchmaking website for Sattvic people. You guys can get to know each other and meet each other, and addressed a lot of the complexities of negotiating through the phases of marriage, those kinds of things. We're going to be announcing that in the future. But as you were just now talking, that thought occurred to me that why don't we have a matchmaking site for families? Meaning that, like a social kind of a circle, like you're in a specific area, or even if you want to get together virtually. Sometimes we don't have that. Even trying to go online to find some sort of companionship or friendship, and we go through Facebook or Instagram, those are not really platforms made to make friends. That a friend centric kind of a platform, it just now occurred to me, and it's very doable from our side. What do you think?
Yeah, brilliant idea. As long as those people are like where you have something to in common, right? Like your passions, you're headed to achieve are similar. Like for example, in natural health science, we have communities, and when we come together as a community, either in the form of potlucks or we are just in city, if you're able to build that, it's going to be really amazing. Where every city there is nature cure practitioners, and they come together and they have potlucks. Need not necessarily be in somebody's home. If you can offer your home, great. But if not, go to public parks and enjoy your meals together and learn about your transformational journeys and inspire others to, because natural health science is so simple yet so profound. It is so powerful to bring about so simply and so easily that every human being living on this earth needs to know about it. So we are able to connect as a community, we're able to influence the larger masses in a much bigger way. So definitely element can be incorporated.
Great. As an NLP practitioner, how do you utilize neuro-linguistic programming alongside nutrition to address the root causes of their health challenges rather than just the symptoms?
So certified life coach as well. So as I was mentioning, those are bigger aspects of health that often get overlooked because we're all running towards, oh, I need to eat this, and this has so much protein, and this has so much good stuff, and so many minerals, and all that. But we're not thinking so much about where our mind is and what am I feeling when I wake up every morning? Am I feeling excited about the day? Am I feeling excited about going to work and all the relationships in my life? And 90% of the time, it is struggling with their own emotions, their own mindsets, their relationships around them. A lot of them are stuck in workplaces where, like mentions, right, you are occupied in an occupation where your skill and passion is combined for the benefit of others. That's what gives you true happiness, and that's what I have experienced. I've been a chartered accountant in the past, but what is giving me satisfaction is doing what I'm passionate about, which is health, right? So if each one of us discovers what they are about, they are aligned in that direction, it's going to be amazing for them. So with NLP and life coaching, I'm basically able to help them emotional issues, and a lot of times people know what they're, but they're not able to overcome them. So right from relationships, whether it is at home or your workplace or your neighbors or your extended family, all these things are adding a lot of stress. Incidents, there are events that have happened in our lives that we are not able to forgive, and they are having such a deep impact on our life that we are not able to even digest the great foods that we are consuming because we are in living that moment.
Yeah.
So those practices, we help people release those past impressions and let go. So the three universal spiritual laws that I've learned from my guru and that I have applied in my own life, and I have told people that who have benefited immensely, are love for yourself and for the world, unconditional forgiveness to yourself and to the world, and unconditional acceptance to yourself and to the world. These three laws are so powerful, very simple, but they're very, very powerful in the sense that they help us a lot of things in perspective, right? Like your relationships, your emotions. What are you feeling so sad about? Something that happened many years ago. You're still holding it in your heart. And the person who wronged you probably doesn't even remember that anymore, probably doesn't even care, but you are living that emotion day in and day out. And with those emotions, where is your health headed, right? What is it that how are you benefiting by keeping that, right? If by nurturing those ill feelings, by nurturing those bad memories and remembering them and living it every day in and day out, if you're experiencing any benefits, then it's still understandable. There are absolutely no benefits, and you are harming yourself. So when these spiritual laws were introduced to me, and when I started thinking deeply about them, and my relationships improved a lot. And when I noticed there was less stress, there was not so much focus on the others, right? A lot of times, what we do is, this person did this to me. This person has to change for me to be happy. In a lot of stress because of this person. He's the troublemaker. The fingers are always pointed towards somebody else. So we are giving a lot of power to the person in front of us. And we are not owning the responsibility for our own emotions and our own health and our own life. So that to me made so much sense that, first of all, we all assume that we can change everybody else. Your experience says that you really cannot change anybody until the person in front of you really wants to change. So, are constantly doing that as parents, as spouses, as children, to our in-laws. We're trying so many things to change so many things about people. We don't understand that probably others are also struggling with the same thing with us, right? We are not perfect. So there is no point. Are we willing to change based on what others are telling us? We are not. So unless they're really big factors that are really causing a lot of pain and trouble to you, small things, there are idiosyncrasies of different people. You just learn to take it in your stride and you try to do the best you can with the set of people you have in your life, right? So that's when peace starts entering your life, and that's when you are able to take charge of your emotions, your relationships, your mind, and then ultimately your health. So through those practices, through my life coaching, of course, the mind and emotions are healed, which play a big role in improving your physical health.
Well, Archana, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Dr. Gauri. Are we supposed to simply ignore those feelings, or is there a way to consider the positive aspect of reflecting on what happened? Perhaps share your experience as you just did with others so they can benefit from your experience.
Sure. So, spiritual seeker, and my husband, he introduced the spiritual part to me almost 14, 15 years ago. And through my spiritual journey, I have learned, come to understand the theory of karma really well. So, when you understand the theory of karma well, is when you are able to understand why certain things are happening to you. So then you don't ask that question, why did this happen to me? I was so nice and still these people did this to me, or these events happened. And I am the victim. You get into this victimhood, right? But when you understand the theory of karma, which is basically, it's absolutely clear that if there is something positive coming your way, whether it is an incident, an event, or a person, it is a positive karmic exchange you've had with that soul, right? And that's why it's coming back to you. So the theory of karma says, whatever you sow, so shall you reap. So it may be in this lifetime or many lifetimes before. And it made absolute sense because there's no person who's going to enter your life without a karmic exchange. So when you understand that to its T, you stop questioning why me, right?
So you view it as a transactional experience.
Yeah, and you're supposed to, like you mentioned, you're supposed to learn a lesson from that event or incident or that person who's giving you that experience. So you just focus on the lesson you need to learn and how you are going to grow as an individual, right? Then the focus shifts completely to victimhood, to how am I going to grow? That is phenomenal. That's a drastic shift in perspective. In your understanding the whole thing, that you become a happier person, then you're focused on your own growth. What is it that I'm going to learn this lesson and apply it to my life, right? Then the focus shifts from, oh, I'm the poor person, this person who has been tormented, I'm this person, I'm that person, to, okay, the events are happening, these are the people in my life, what is the best I can do, right? So that really gives you a different perspective that helps you take charge of your life. For me, that was very empowering. Like, just like the way I mentioned about physical health, right? My doctors are not able to tell me anything. What is it that I'm doing wrong? I'm helpless. And here in relationships too, I was helpless. Like, to me, I'm doing the right thing, but these people are behaving this way, or these people are giving me this treatment, or these events have happened, me. So that question used to be there. And once I understood the spiritual depth of the theory of karma, everything was crystal clear to me. And then since then, there has never been a point in time where I have questioned why me. I learned to take it in my stride. There are challenges that come my way even today, but I know this is a result of my own wrongdoing. right? To understand that, then there are no more questions. It's like a loan officer, right? It's like a loan officer. You've borrowed something, you've done something for which you need to repay. So when the loan officer comes to you, you don't say, "Hey, why are you coming and asking me for this?" So that
Right.
those events and those things are happening to teach you a lesson. So then don't question that. Learn the lesson and move forward gracefully and do the best you can in every situation. Do the best. Meditator, so I meditate, do a lot of other practices that helps me remain grounded and may become very creative in terms of what the solution can possibly be for this particular situation versus saying that I'm not going to get anything. When you are in that victim mindset, it's going to be all doom and there's no rays of sunlight that you're going to see. So the
That's true.
unconditional love and acceptance have been three guiding principles of my life that have helped me look at every human being, every incident, every event in my life are supposed to be whatever physical discomfort they're experiencing. And there are so many players that who are aligned with our philosophy. I think we should unify our efforts as a group. That should be the first step. And then we can brainstorm in terms of how we can give more structure to this whole thing. Because unless we make this a very structured process, the results are not going to be visible to the world. Of course, people are experiencing the benefits of being on this lifestyle and being able to experiencing improved health, as Guruji mentions. But unless it's documented, unless there's a collaborative effort in terms of collecting data and publishing data, it's not going to be seen. I visualize seeing this as mainstream, just the way people see mainstream medicine. This should be a mainstream way of living and enjoying life without medicines and without any pains and aches. Definitely, collaboration needs to happen.
Great. I really thank you for coming on our podcast. And I want to ask if there's anything else you'd like to let people know. And also, how can people reach you if they wanted to?
Sure, they can follow me on Insta, and I am doing a daily online workshop that is often want to understand
You,
more about healthy
your
living,
voice is cutting out a little
and
bit.
then healing their mind and emotions. And
Oh, now it's a little better.
I'll
You
repeat that.
mentioned
So
that
I have.
page.
They can follow me on Insta, and there I'll be posting a lot of my updates.
What's your
There
Instagram
is
channel?
an online. It's heal underscore with Archana. HEAL underscore WITHARCHANA. And I also offer online session every morning, Monday through Friday, where people can join early in the morning and they can experience, they can be a part of a community and they can learn ways of maintaining optimal health, the food choices, the lifestyle choices that they can make. And there is a lot of discussion that happens with as far as relationships and emotions and mindsets are concerned. People have experienced a lot of benefit attending these sessions early in the morning, and within a very short period of time their atmosphere at home is different. They have changed as individuals. They've been able to not control but master their cravings. They've been able to find alternatives to their cravings, because healthy eating and living is one thing, the knowledge is one thing, and being able to implement it is another thing altogether. In with a community where we meet every day, it becomes much more enjoyable to learn from each other's experiences, to learn what somebody is struggling with and what solution they found to their problem, and how we can really tread on the path of health and wellness together. So that has made a profound impact to people. So I would encourage people to join that group. I can also send you the a link to join that WhatsApp group where we have the meetings, early morning sessions, Monday through Friday. That's what I would say.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for appearing on our show. I'd like to introduce our final guest, Saraswati Kavula, who's a
Thank you so
journalist.
much for giving me the opportunity.
Pleasure. Who's a journalist and documentary filmmaker who has made a remarkable transition to become a farmer and a dedicated activist. Saraswati's work now focuses entirely or intensely on environmental issues and the critical concerns facing farmers. Oh no, technical issues. This happened.
You can't
That's
hear me?
unfortunate. I can hear
Hello?
you, but we can't see you.
There's some problem because I am in the village. Our signals and
Ah,
it's been
I
raining,
see.
sudden showers. it must have caused a problem. I was able to listen
Okay.
to the previous speakers. It has been very interesting, enlightening, and I'm glad I was able to listen to them. If you can't see me, can you hear
That's
me?
okay. At least we can hear you. That's
Yeah.
what's important. Thank you very much for coming. And it looks like Saraswati ji is experiencing more technical difficulties. If she can have that steady stream, that'll be good. Otherwise, we've had
Able
this
to
issue
hear
in the
to you.
past. We'll just postpone
Issues.
TG's. We'll just postpone her appearance to another time. But just stay on for a second, please. And Gauriji, one thing I forgot to ask you was your contact information. If people wanted to reach you, how would they do that?
I'm present in all the social media and just have to type Dr. Gauri Rokkam and it leads there. But I won't remember if you have to. In Instagram, it is just Dr. Gauri Rokkam and website is drgaurirokkam.com.
Beautiful.
And that
Okay.
should lead people to my work.
So it's just DR or DOCTOR?
DR,
I'll put that on. There it is.
drgaurirokkam.com. Yes. GR, everything is small letters.
That'll be my domain. So it doesn't matter if it's small letters or big, it'll still work.
You should be seeing that.
So, Arun Sharma ji, what did you think about what our guests spoke about today?
Beautiful. All their experiences are very good, but few personal suggestions that I have is to improve their language presentation practice. So they are going to be leaders. They are going to talk to so many people more. So it is important for all of us to have a great language and cut out the popular sayings, you know what, all kinds of things. They
I
should
need to work on
replace.
that myself
Yeah.
first. When I do video editing sometimes and I see what I'm saying, I don't like the fact that I keep saying or you and fillers. Yeah, I would definitely need to work on that.
Lot of
Lot of,
times they use lot of.
that's right.
We
It's
all have
great
to.
feedback.
It's only a personal suggestion, but it's not something to criticize.
Understood.
We have to be a great institution together.
Yes, Guruji.
So, is there anything else the two guests would like to say to Guruji?
I'm absolutely grateful for what he has taught us and the knowledge he has given us and empowered us. And we'll all take it ahead from what he has given us.
Great.
Fantastic. So, Saraswati ji, you were having issues with the internet connection. Is that resolved? No.
Hello,
Not.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay. So
yeah,
we'll continue then. This
yeah,
seems like a very stable connection. So we'll continue with that.
right.
Saraswati ji's work now focuses intensely on environmental issues and the critical concerns facing farmers. Her journey from telling stories through media to actively shaping the narrative on the ground, advocating for sustainability and agricultural justice is truly inspiring. Saraswati ji, welcome to the IMANAH Podcast.
Thank you.
So, we'd like to know a little bit about your background first. Could you tell us about your upbringing
Yeah.
and your journey to natural health?
Oh, my journey to natural health happened first, I should say,
Mhm.
because as a child, I was very sick
Before the upbringing.
most of the time. Well, it was continuous. So I was continuously trying to figure out why I'm becoming sick. And I was using homeopathy. I got some in suggestions. And because I come from a very not traditional, I wouldn't say that, but my parents are from a rural background and we had all those inputs. Because I would say that urban kids don't have any of the wisdom, which is the native wisdom, which is there in Indian rural background. It is lost. Fortunately
Right.
for our generation, we still had it. So I was a very sickly child. I had IBS. I had something called amoebic dysentery as a child, and I was always falling sick. And of course, we were going to the traditional allopaths, and they were not as commercial as they are today, but they were still, they don't know what they're doing. So I was constantly taking pills. And then I went to naturopath because I was having, you name it, I had everything. I had bronchitis. I had tonsillitis. I had all kinds of problems. And so then when I came to, I was in my 20s, I was working in a hotel. So my background is I did my hotel management. And I worked in the Taj group of hotels for a couple of years. And then I worked in a corporate bank for 1.5 years or so. And then I realized that corporate life is not for me. And one of the key things was the way we had to work round the clock through shifts in the hotels. And I realized that I was becoming sick, and because we were working against the biological clock. And so I would just like to say that I have been very much interested in the aspect of health because I was a very sick child. And then by the time I came through my teens and others, I never knew about the impact of chai and everything else. So it so happened that from corporate jobs, I just went for a trek to the Himalayas, and I realized when I saw a lot of freelancers that the way it is to be free and not to be working for somebody around the clock, 9 to 5. That's not life. So I decided I will never take a job again in my life. And it's been so. So I started working as a freelancer, started getting into media, radio, whatever. And so when I was doing a documentary research as a research assistant, I came across, we were doing a documentary about 50 years of Indian independence and search for Gandhian view of development versus Nehruvian view of development, because Nehru was very Western oriented and Gandhiji was totally rooted in India. And that's the first time I came across his book, Key to Health. And that changed my life, I must say. That changed my life. And after I read his book, Key to Health, actually, no, that was his book. And
Gandhi's
incidentally,
book.
around that, yes.
Uh,
So I started thinking things differently since then, not only about health, but about India and the concept of development. And I think he was so-called in the modern times the first environmentalist of this country. He was a visionary whom nobody ever understood, and in fact misunderstood and call him a lot of names. Sorry for that. But so when I was working on that documentary, I realized about the importance of I got introduced to naturopathy, nature cure. I read Gandhiji's books, and incidentally around that same year, my sister was suggested to join a naturopathic center, which is the first naturopathic hospital in India, was in Hyderabad. So I went there, and they did a complete detox for me because I used to have all gut issues. I was having these respiratory diseases. They wanted to operate my tonsils. For some reason, I just said, I was taking a homeopathic medicine at that point of time. And that doctor said, please, you wait, just give me 3 months, I'll cure you. And I'm telling you, since then, no issues of tonsils. But the doctors in my, family, friends, they were saying, no, you have to operate. I said, no, I will not allow a knife over my body. Never. So then I got introduced to nature cure. I had a complete detox. I was on a fast for 5-6 days, and neem water enemas, and it really changed the whole thing. I wouldn't say I was completely healed. Even after that, I was trying to, once in a while, I was taking some pills. But I must say that around 2007 or 8, I did a documentary on the Musi River in Hyderabad, and I saw exactly how this entire life system got destroyed. If you're talking about nature cure and living naturally, then we also need to look at what, as human beings, we have done to our nature. Because without nature, we are nothing, right? We are part of the nature, and we need to understand our connection, the deeper connections we have. Because what I understood was, when I was making documentaries mostly in rural areas, I saw that people in the rural areas are so peaceful. They are not agitated, they are chilled. And then when you come to the urban centers, people are always stressed out and everything. And then I just started realizing that as human beings, we are biologically connected to nature. And that biological connection we lost with nature in the kind of environments that we are living in. I think urbanization itself is a problem. Living in concrete jungles is the problem. So around that time, I was doing this documentary called Cutting Off a Lifeline, which is called about the Musi River and what happened to the river. And what happened to the river was not just urbanization and sending out all our drainage into the system, which most of the downstream farmers didn't have any issues because it was just biological stuff. But of course, a lot of the shampoos, detergents, everything that we use goes through the river and goes down. But the worst thing that killed the entire river system was the pharmaceutical pollution that was coming from upstream areas. And when I researched and I saw, oh my God, these can't be nowhere. I wouldn't want to call allopathy at all a life science. Because they call themselves the life sciences industry, but they're not. I would call them, I'm sorry to use the word, but they're murdering people, they're murdering. I remember Archana ji was talking about what we are doing as the harm we are doing to the animals, the dairy. But if you see the kind of destruction of human life, of agriculture, of the entire biodiversity, it's just murderous. So that was the day when I felt like whatever odd pill I was taking, I felt like I cannot take this drugs at the cost of so much life being taken out, so much killing that is happening. So I would always use a word that this paradigm of development is basically giving blood on our hands. And I am a follower of karma yoga, or rather karmic, I believe. And as a society, we are all gathering this bad karma, and that's what we are seeing now. So anyways, so through that, around that time, I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism. I didn't want to take a medication, but everybody in the family said, no, no, you must take it, blah, and because that's what everyone believed. So I did take the thyroxine medicine for 2 years. And then I used to go to naturopathy centers once a year at least for a complete detox. And one lady, I forget her name, she was a yoga therapist. She said, don't take these drugs because they are going to cause long term, they're going to cause huge damage. And I'll tell you, 10th April 2010, or not 10th April, it was some date in April 2010, I stopped just the next day. Until then, from then till now, I have not taken a single pill. And I just managed by using yoga and by basically lifestyle changes, some more about my food and all. I was not, always traveling, we eat all kinds of food and all. But what I realized was that whenever I was becoming emotionally stressed out, my thyroid levels were going up. So I realized I need to start de-stressing, need to control my emotionality because I was a very short-tempered person. So I started working on that. And since people were talking about health, I will just share my experiences on health. Then I learned Reiki, and I must say that was a game changer for me in my life. And then emotional freedom technique, which helps us to, because we are talking about how to detox from our thoughts. So the detox is a word for staying healthy. So to detox from our thinking, what all we are doing and all, I think emotional freedom technique is the simplest and best way to do that. And I'm a lot different from what I was, let's say 10, 15 years ago to 4 years ago to now. And I'm taking a lot of stress right now, but I know it's showing in my lower back because my lower chakra is strained. But still, because we are running a huge farmers movement again against a pharmacity. So to cut the long story short, what I felt was if we want to be free totally as human beings, we should not be dependent on anybody, especially not the governments, because the governments are there only to stress you out, only to, I know how do I use the word, torture you, because that's what the modern system is doing to us. I don't want to go back into a long story. I was in this whole, how do I say, I started realizing how these big institutions, international institutions, were draining the country out. They are causing more poverty because India was not a poor country. India was a very rich country. So what the British did and left, these corporations, these World Banks and World Trade Organizations, they're bleeding India in a new way. They don't need massive armies to control people anymore. They have their Bretton Woods twins, as they call them, the World Bank and the IMF, to control the world. That's what they did with all the treaties that they have done. They have destroyed the farming in this country. That's why farmers in India are committing suicides, not because really they can't do anything about it. So our governments don't do anything for farmers to improve their life or to get a better market, nothing. And today it's even worse. So I won't go much into those details, but what I understood health, as I told you in my brief journey, or rather my long journey, was from changing diet and detoxing, and then for detox of the mind through using these means of, how do I say, Reiki and of course yoga. But now I don't do any yoga because I'm doing full day farming work. So it's part of my yoga, you want to say. We are with the sun every day and we are sweating a lot, and so that's my job. So what I wanted to say is, when we are talking about naturopathy and why of course, naturopathy is the way forward. There's no other choice. I think people are saying, oh no, but we need this. I want to give another example. I had a fracture when I went to Pakistan for a trip. And was just, they were all very concerned. No, we'll take you to the hospital. We'll give you some pills. I said, no, no. Okay, fine. I'll manage. Somehow, I had a stick and I was walking around. I came back to India. That was actually a very bad sprain. But what happened is, I was recovering from that using packs and cold packs and everything. And then I again met with an accident and I had a hairline fracture on the same place in the same ankle. So I knew a friend who had multiple fractures. He fractured his leg and he actually went to a bone setter outside Hyderabad and he got well in 3 months. He had to take bed rest and he was doing only that dressing. So I said, look, I don't want to go to the doctors, no allopathies, because I'm a very, very activist. I don't want allopathy at all. I would like to wipe it out of the face of the earth if I can. So I went to this bone setters. No, nothing. This is just a small room, shed, and no room, no hangama, nothing. People have to wait in the queue, whether you come in a Benz or whatever. People are waiting in the queue. He takes 5 minutes. He does this very painful, but he does that, and he puts some herbs and everything, and he did that. And they said, do you want to take a dolo? I said, no, no, fine. I want to know when the pain is going off. It would be naturally going off. So I didn't take a dolo, but the pain was all right after a couple of days. So I went for about 6 sittings and I was fine. 300 rupees per sitting, because my transport cost me more. What I'm trying to say is that there are so many geniuses like this. And I want to tell you, one of the earliest films I did was about animal health workers inside the tribal district of East Godavari. The tribes, I mean, a lot, because I was fortunate that because of my work, I lived with the tribal, I don't want to call them tribal people. In fact, they are the most enlightened people. We are all
First
stupid.
Nation.
Yes, we are all stupid. We are stupid because they are, Cherokee Indians have said, fish and everything is gone. You can't eat money. And that's exactly what we are doing to ourselves, to our society. We're destroying everything for our so-called comforts. And so these tribal people, I saw that it was a goat. It had a fractured leg. And I saw they were mixing some tamarind and some jaggery and one of these herbs. And they did that pounding and they made a putty for that. And in a few minutes, that fellow was limping a little bit. So that actually opened my eyes. Oh my God, this is so much. And I want to tell you one more example, how miraculous nature is. That I had a dog and it went and ate some pig, which had some, farmers keep poisons for wild pigs. So these dogs went and ate the wild pig. And when I came, one old man used to work for me and he saw that this dog was also almost, you know, kind of. So he took out there is a one chattu, I don't know what it's called in English. It's called urugu chattu. He just took that out and he took the bark, he made it, pound it and mixed it in some buttermilk and gave it to that. So this dog lived, survived. 4 other dogs, which were not taken care of, they were on the street, they died.
Right.
That's a miracle. So I had all these wise people from whom I could learn. So when I started, so what I realized is I need to be independent completely off the system, off grid. So I switched to farming, because farming is the only thing which will give you that freedom to be able to say what you want to say without any governmental interference into what we want to say.
Right.
And
So,
also, I realized, so I just want to say one small thing here.
sure, sure.
It's very small. So, also, this developmental paradigm, if you want to really move towards nature, to proper health of the society and people, we need to decentralize. We need to move back to nature, back to the roots. So, that prompted me at that time. Yeah, please, question.
Saraswati, I really love the militant direction this conversation's headed, with a bigger picture perspective of the global village we're all a part of, willingly or unwillingly. The first thing I'd
Yes.
like to put out for the benefit of the censors online who love to police everything we say, we're not giving any medical advice. We've never done that. Those who want medical advice must consult their medical professionals. Um, this actually, the direction that you're headed, Saraswati ji, is very near and dear to my heart. Actually,
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time researching these things, been inspired by some of the lectures of Vandana Shiva, whom you sound very much like. Have you had a chance to meet her?
Yes, yes. I did in her interview also. It is there on, in fact, YouTube deleted that. So YouTube deletes a lot of my videos. Yeah, I have a YouTube channel. My
Unsurprisingly.
film on the children's vaccines was deleted thrice. Sorry, I did a video about COVID scam, and during the COVID time, telling people not to take a vaccine, and that was deleted first after 4 days, and the second time 2 minutes after uploading, 10 minutes after uploading, and the third time, even before I could upload it, it was deleted. So yeah, we got censorship.
There's a lot of ideas that I have in how they can gain from all these middlemen. A
Yeah,
farmer who works and he sells his produce for next to nothing. And then you have these series of
mm,
middle people that keep on taking their cuts
yeah,
and cuts. And eventually there's like an increase in profit making through the systems, through the chain. And when it reaches
yeah.
your plate, it's kind of you don't know where it's coming from, and you don't know who's benefited in what level. So I'm very interested in
So
learning a lot more about. And it's surprising that around Delhi, for example, there are like 360 something farms, right?
yeah,
People who are living in, as you mentioned, urban, they don't realize where their food is coming from. For them, it comes from a supermarket, or it comes from, and that's all they know. There's no.
the food actually, it's
So,
bad
is there
food.
any ways for farmers to have direct access to consumers, or can we
I think
create
we
some sort of a
can do
technical
that if
layer?
we. So two things. One is there are farmers markets that are being organized by well-meaning people. There are, for especially for organic farmers, we have these farmers markets. And what I do is, see the amount of produce that I get. I sell some directly to some customers in Hyderabad, and part of it I sell it in the market, because retailing is very tough. Because I've been doing that, it is kind of tough. But at the same time, you try to balance it out. That in fact, that's what I was coming from Hyderabad. I was selling my mangoes in Hyderabad and coming back when I was trying to join this call. So there are farmers markets. I've seen farmers markets in the US also. But
Hmm.
the consumers have to make that effort also to try and reach out to farming communities to say, look, I can. There was one experiment that was done in Hyderabad, that one consumer linked to one farmer, they fund them or give them some money so that they get proper food from this particular one family. So right now, even more than just market, because I live in a very predominantly agriculture area where the farmers are quite all right. I know Archana ji may not like it, but a major income for them comes from dairy. If they were not there, then they would have all been gone, killed. So, but the kind of dairy, of course, the insemination happens, but the kind of dairy that happens here is, most of them, they graze the animals. It's not like inside. At least that much freedom the animals have. But yes, it is very, I would like to say, because I've seen both sides of the world, and it's very, I want to use the word easy, but it's very easy because once I was having a big argument with a vegan person. I said, if you want to really talk about hinsa, then what Gandhiji did, that is the that's the right path to let go of a whole lot of things that we are using today, including our
Mhm.
smartphones, this technology, and the data centers, which are killing people. I mean, data centers are killing people, they're guzzling water, they're destroying entire life systems. But you see, it's not just about destroying water systems. When the water goes, then a whole lot of life goes. Right. So when we are using our smart technologies also, we need to be conscious that, look, we are also doing a lot of hinsa, right? We are doing a lot of hinsa with our lifestyles. This is what prompted me to, will live with as little as possible. That is only possible when I'm living off the land, so that I don't live, a grandiose life. It is, I'm trying to preach this to people, but this has been my journey, my internal
Right.
conflict. As how can it, I was an activist since 2003, when incidentally I went and joined a anti-uranium mining campaign. And that's when I realized how destructive mining is. Not just uranium mining, any mining. We have destroyed entire communities of tribal people because we wanted to mine. And if you see the why Bastar district has been destroyed, is only to make way for the mining companies. I don't want to take out the names, but this is what it is. So unless the basis for all our modern comforts comes from mining, by digging up the earth, by taking out the minerals, by processing them, which uses a lot of chemicals, and then those we which we make, they come inside manufacturing facilities again. If we know where the cement is coming from, if we know that limestone is dug out and cement factories are polluting the Krishna river, the Godavari river, and everything else, we all are worried about from the cause of it. So for me, I would say all
We're having
health.
audio issues. We can't hear you. Your audio is breaking up a
Can you
lot.
can you hear me now?
No, it's the same issue.
Hello? Is this all right?
No, it's still breaking up. We'll give you
Okay.
a minute. Is there a way you can find higher bars to get better connection?
Yeah.
Well, she dropped off. 1 second. We'll try to get her back on stage. As I was mentioning to her earlier, this is really near and dear to my heart. I believe that the principles of natural health or nature cure, it applies to a broader spectrum of disciplines.
Can you hear me now?
Now it's much better. Yes.
All right. So we are trying with basic whatever they say. So what I wanted to say was that the manufacturing, the mining, the minerals, the destruction, why Africa was destroyed. Africa was destroyed to make Europe look glitzy and glamorous. Entire reservations in America were destroyed, and in South America were destroyed to make America look this chic place. So when we start looking behind the story, this is what I saw, and that's what prompted me to take the path which I did. So I would suggest, if people can start, I started a movement called Living with Less, because that is where we are going to be protecting nature. And if we don't protect nature, then there's no meaning behind naturopathy also. I mean, if we are talking about naturopathy and nature cure, then nature is curing us, then we need to be responsible towards nature. And I don't say just nature, because environmental justice is also about social justice. Because all those people who have been living simply, who have been protecting the earth, who've been the caretakers of the earth, the Adivasis of India, they have paid the largest price for making us all comfortable in our comfort zones, in our cars, in our buildings, and everything else. So
Right.
yes, I really like the idea of ahimsa. I'm also trying to be vegan as much as possible, though I do tea,
Right.
but more or less I'm off dairy. But
Right.
well, yeah,
So the
I'm
Asian,
not trying to point for fingers. I can
I
stay
understand.
without ghee also. I tried coconut oil. What I want to say is the situation of farmers is very difficult. And
Yeah.
if they don't keep those milch cows or milch animals, some of them have 5, 10, 2, 3, whatever. If they don't have them, they cannot survive. The families don't
Right.
survive. So it's very easy. So there's a need for society to find them to do that transition towards organic farming, towards everything. People sit and say, oh, the farmers are putting so many chemicals. Now, if unless he makes a huge produce, a lot of, I mean, I'm saying because I'm doing organic, I get less yield. When I take it to the market, they say, itna chota hai, the fruit is small or whatever. And people have somehow this stupid psychology of thinking that something that is big in size and shining is supposed to be very good for their health. So when we go to the market, they don't give the same price for our produce. Whereas when somebody put a lot of water, actually irrigation is also bad. I don't irrigate as much. I don't give much water. I'm into farming. I'm mostly I would say it's an agroforestry, a lot of
Right.
forest trees and everything else. So they are compelled to give a lot of water to make the fruits and anything else look big and everything.
Right.
They are compelled to go for hybrids, which are bad for our health. They're compelled. So their situation is not good. They're compelled to have
Right.
milch animals. They don't do that. I know, like I want to keep animals just like that because it's good for their dung and everything else. Then my mother said, why do you want to keep sheep? Because then you'll give it to the Kasai for killing. So I said, okay, no, no. But I have a lot of wild animals which give what the natural dung and everything else. So if you want to understand, if you want to talk about naturopathy, we are talking about spirituality because naturopathy is also about enhance, linking us to the universal and how do I'm not able to say. So for me, this is also my spiritual journey. How am I as a
Right.
human being? What am I doing to other
Right.
human beings? So I would like to look at naturopathy and nature cure to that level. Are we able to take it to that level where we are looking at it from a spiritual point of view? There are a lot of people who talk about yoga and everything else. I mean, they're very good yoga guru. I always them, but that connection is not happening for people to look internally and say, what is my role in this entire world and what is my contribution towards this sadness that is happening around me? I think if each and every human being starts thinking like that, then automatically there'll be a game changer.
Right.
So right
So,
now, what we are doing in our area, sorry, please go ahead.
so the gentrification you mentioned earlier is a real thing, around the world
Yes.
that is happening. They're trying to have sanitized neighborhoods at the expense of the poorer folks. Um, there are solutions to everything, like the way to
Right.
address organic yields versus GMO and the gentrification issues. But Saraswati ji, I'd like to take a few minutes talking to you about few core points which may help us lay the
Mhm.
foundation for a deeper conversation. So
Yeah.
one thing that I wanted to address is the proactive nature of our efforts and actions. For example, by
Hmm.
the time you get to the point of having to protest with placards and pitchforks, it's already too late. That whatever you're
Yes.
protesting against has already happened. There is no
Mm.
proactive way you're stopping the process, and we're always being
Mm.
reactive. And the
Right.
machine just has to keep spinning off these crises, and we're going to keep on reacting. So to be a little bit more of a mature response, a little bit more organized and deeper thinking, so that we can,
Right.
just like we get to root cause in nature cure, we can get to the
Hmm.
new root cause of all of these issues if we address
Mm.
it as a whole.
Right.
So thing and so a lot to discuss. I mean, the you thrown in are like little grenades that are lobbing, and there are such huge nuanced topics that we should get into.
Yeah.
One, for example, can you describe for us the broad strokes of the supply chain from seed to table, from the farmer to the plate?
So you talked about the firefighting, which you mentioned, which is what the protests are all about. So I
Yeah.
was associated with the National Alliance of People's Movements. I was working with Medha Patkarji for about 6, 7, 8 years, I think. I don't remember how long. And when I observed, what I said that is that We are, again, I will come back to the same point. We are doing firefighting. Why are we firefighting? Because everything that we are fed, because this is also brainwashed for us to think that only this is development.
Right.
And what Gandhiji said was simple living and high thinking. We are not developing here, but we are developing in all our comfort zones.
Right.
So if you want to me to say what is a core problem, I think that is a core problem, because we are made to think. Yesterday, also, one BBC reporter was saying, because we are fighting against this pharma city, future is nothing but your surveillance, 24 by
Yeah.
7 surveillance city, which they
15
want to
minutes
make.
city.
Yes, no, it's not a 15-minute city, but it's definitely
That's
going to
enough
be a
one.
surveillance city. So we
Okay.
are fighting against it. First, they said it's a pharma city. Now it's a future city. So again, as I said, it should start from deep inside us.
Hmm.
What I always tell my whoever wants to say we want to do something, I said first start thinking about each and every product that where we are buying from. As consumers, can we be ethical consumers? Can we be conscientious consumers?
Right.
Then and then only, because we are giving our power to these big corporates by buying
Right.
their produce. So as a
No,
counter to
I
that, I'm
understand that.
doing.
Just to interrupt you for a second, I just wanted to for you to highlight for us the top, let's say, 5 steps that it takes for the food to get from the farm to the table.
Okay, so you want to know the mainstream agriculture, how it does. So I know buy seeds, but the regular farmer, he has to go buy the seeds, which they never did in the past.
Right.
And they never bought any inputs like chemical inputs. They were only using that gobar, what the guy was giving, and
Mhm.
maybe some leaf litter and everything else. And then, of course, you do the tilling, and then you sow the crops, and then after that, barish aaye, and it's, and then, of course, from the seed, then the plant, and then the flowering, and the bees are, we know that. So the bees, and then finally the fruit comes, or if anything could be the cereal, whether it is a paddy or whether it's anything, everything. This whole stages, a lot of life forms also play their part. Like you have earthworms, the ground, the soil, all of it.
Mhm.
And then finally, from there, they have to do the threshing. If you are using about the paddy, they have to do the threshing, and then uske baad, they take it to the mill to bring out the rice, and then finally, most of the time, the traders buy the paddy. They do the dehusking, and
Processing.
then
Okay.
finally, yeah, the processing. Processing really, it's basically dehusking if you're getting the real rice. Otherwise, they polish it and make it look nice and white, so you don't get any nutrition. And finally, it comes through some set of traders, like what you mentioned. And if the farmer is lucky enough, they will go directly and sell it to consumers. Otherwise, after a couple of, then it comes to a market where you buy, and then you bring it to your house and you go.
Okay. So then, regarding the said they're having to purchase with the Terminator crops, can't we
Yeah.
have a consortium of seed banks? Because I'm trying to apply a certain level of
It's already
technology
there. I
there.
want to, yes, I'll tell you one thing. If you want to support somebody, you need to support Dr. Debel Deb as an amazing person, because, see, what happened was my knowledge, as I said, my entire knowledge happened because of my documentary work of going around rural areas. Amazing work is being has been in India. Not only Vandana Shivaji, her own seed bank, there is also a seed bank in many couple of seed banks in Uttarakhand. There are villages in Deccan developed by the Deccan Development Society, where the women have been saving the seeds. So when I want to plant crops, I get my seeds from them. I have been
So would
regenerating my seeds.
would you say that everybody knows about it? All the farmers know about these things,
No,
or
no.
it is there's a
See, the
little
farmers
education?
don't know. But then it's not so hopeless. I'll tell you why. Because so not Terminator seeds in all the. Let me tell you that in India, the first Terminator seed crop was the BT cotton. Then they tried to
Mm.
bring it into brinjal. But in 2010, there has been a widespread campaign across India against the BT brinjal. So Ram Ramesh, who was environment minister, he put a moratorium. Then soon after that, he got transferred. He lost his job as environment minister. Then Jayanti
Unbelievable.
Natarajan comes in, and then she went and told in the Supreme Court, Rodriguez has filed a case in the Supreme Court against the GMOs, and that's why there is a stay not to bring in GMOs into India. But stealthily, they may be bringing in. This Jayanti Natarajan went told in the Supreme Court, yes, this could be bad for the country. She loses her job. Then Veerappa Moily comes in and he tries to introduce GMO crops, but fortunately they lost it in the Rajya Sabha at that time, which was at I bring in the politics here because at that time BJP opposed when they were in opposition. The moment they came
Mm,
to power, the first thing they do is they want to introduce the GMOs. And
right.
again, thankfully, that time they didn't have power in the Rajya Sabha, so it was lost. But what I want to say is, so these are the Terminator seeds and all that. So why the farmers don't know? I mean, there are farmers, there are many, how do I, voluntary people who are doing these seed banks across India. The seed is still being saved.
So is
And
there a
in fact,
website somewhere they can go to kind of gather?
no, but let me explain. So,
Okay.
in fact, incidentally, we did a seed festival in Hyderabad when COP11 was happening as a protest against the COP11. We did that in Hyderabad in 2012. So, all these keep happening. In fact, recently one finished in Mysore. So, every year there are these seed festivals which are being organized. And in Tamil Nadu, I saw a beautiful, beautiful thing and thousands of farmers reviving the traditional rice varieties.
Hmm.
And it is very simple. They all come and meet before the monsoon. In fact, I also went and got some seed. I went in 2015, I saw this. So one farmer started this. He said, I will give you some seed. You should give me double next year. So this is actually a traditional way of conserving seed, which
That's
was practiced
brilliant.
by
That's brilliant.
farmers. No, which was practiced by farmers across India. It was a very common thing. Even in our village, they still do that. When I got them native tur dal from
Hmm.
DDS, which was in a different district. So okay, I'll give you 1 kg of seed. You have to give me back 2 kilos, or at least one and a half. So this is how a seed saving was happening in the country. Then,
So Saraswati ji, just a quick question on what you just now said. Now, if
mm,
for example you're able to purchase these things from each other in India, what about
mm,
international shipping? When we are traveling overseas, they check our baggage. Do you bring any seeds in? Did you bring any, like
yeah,
whatnot?
they don't
How
let
does that
they don't
work?
let it, especially in US.
Right.
I must tell
So
you,
we do get dals from India. We do get all kinds of things from India. How are those things
but you
getting in?
can't get the seeds.
But isn't the dal themselves seeds? Like if I get moong dal, that
No,
itself is a seed.
no,
No?
because when you remove the husk from the seed, it cannot germinate.
No, no, like the moong, I mean like the.
Moong, see, the green moong, if you're using the whole black gram, can plant it. But I
Right.
don't know whether it would work in your climate, unless you're somewhere in Florida or
I'm in
even
Florida.
California doesn't work. Florida, you can grow because it has temperatures and similar climate zones to India. But what I noticed is Australia, India, Africa, you can grow anything across. Any seed from Australia can grow here. This seeds from here to Australia can grow, and the same thing with
Interesting.
Africa. We come from that same climatic zones. So in
Right.
America, in the US, yeah, you can monk and
So
you can
is
grow.
it viable for you guys to ship? Is it a different moong than what we go buy at the Indian store here that
No,
we
I
can
I
plant?
don't know. You just try. Why don't you just try? See, are you able to sprout the mung?
Yeah, yeah, easily.
Then live seed. Then obviously you can plant it.
Okay.
If you're getting
Mm,
sprout, that means it's a live seed. It life in it, and it will give you
so
a
isn't
plant.
that does terminators mean that you can't sprout it even?
No, it won't. So the
I see.
terminators are the GMOs. Basically, they are putting this sterilization processes a seed so that they can never give next life. You understand? So it's
Right.
like killing. See, nature means fertility, and they're killing the fertility. Not only made seeds infertile, they have also made your fish infertile. I would that you should see this documentary called Unnatural Selection.
Unnatural
It's got
selection.
another name, I forgot. Um, I'm not able to remember the name now, but that film was, eye-opening. This happened in 2006. Already I was aware about the GMOs because I was part of this first campaign I got involved was this when it was being introduced. That was in 2002. I got to understand what GM seeds were all about. But this film, which I saw in 2006, um, was amazing. It's an opener. I don't know what else. That's almost 20 years ago. So people must watch that. Those who are in
Right.
the US, you should watch Food Inc. If you want to
Food
understand what's
Inc.
happening. Food Inc. is the brilliant documentary, and everybody will understand what's happening, where your food is coming from, what it's being done, and what is happening to small farmers. See, industrial farming is a problem. They are trying to I want to kill life, basically, just like they wanted to kill people using COVID vaccines.
Hmm.
So they just want to kill life, take away life, keep everything in their hands. If you know that Bill Gates and these likes, they have what is called Salvador ball. It's a underground vault deep inside under in Greenland, where they have stored all the germplasm that comes from across the world. And they don't allow the farmers to have access to their own country's germplasm. Because I remember once in one
Wow.
meeting, I'll share you that article in 2012. I've written this. It's called the New East India Companies, and I call these the New East India Companies. These went to a meeting of our ICAR, they were sitting there and telling, Monsanto was sitting on the same dais and telling them, "Oh, we have our bank and it's all yours. You can use it."
Really?
And I was shocked. I stood up. I said, they didn't me. So I just stood up. See, I'm a farmer. Now I want to have access to that seed.
How do I do it?
Tell me, how can I get? Oh,
Yeah.
it is there in our vault. You can always come. I said, farmer living in deep inside somewhere in Maharashtra, Andhra,
Right.
Karnataka,
It's
wherever.
gonna go to
How does
Greenland.
he know? Where to go and get the seed? Are you making it accessible to him? It is your
Hmm.
job to tell them, look, we have these seeds, you come and take it. No, you don't. You give it to ICRISAT, which is our millets also into GMO millets.
Wow.
And so this is what's happening in the farming sector. This is
What do
what's
you
happening to the
what
food.
is on the show that Amir Khan did, Satya, when he had poison on the plate? Yeah, it's called Poison on the Plate, and he talked
Yeah, that's
about the
fine. That's
pesticides.
talk. Chemicals in the food. See, I'll tell you
Right.
what again.
But he was talking about
Cul-
like the non-GMO of growing organic crops and how Haryana had
We
banned
can.
the GMO
See, I
stuff.
am growing non-GMOs. I am growing
And he's
organic. It's
right.
fine.
But he was
But the
saying that
GMO,
it gives you greater yields. He had people on the show
people
over
are
greater yields.
no, no. See, they get greater yields, but they're not looking at how much input cost is increasing. Because every
Mm.
year you're increasing, you have to increase the chemicals. Every year you have to increase the
No, no,
pesticides
no.
because
Let me that explanation is that what I'm saying is that in that show they showed that how organic has greater yields than the GMO and the pesticides.
yeah.
So
So
yeah.
because my personal experience, I have a lot of other problems. So I don't want to quantify there is a lot of right now there's a lot of produce on my farm, but marketing is a problem for me.
Mm.
So
Right.
you can get there are
That's
farmers.
where people can help. We can technologists.
Please,
So that's the reason of this conversation with you and trying to
yeah.
drill down into this issue because with modern technology, with AI and all kinds of advents, we have access to code bases that are open source or that'll create online marketplaces just like that.
Okay,
So
to you regarding the produce. Yes, with organic, with natural farming, you can have not only good yield, but better yield compared to
mhm,
even, or at least on par with the chemicals. The thing is that if farmers know, they're not, see, you know what the life of farmer is. Every other day, even now in our area, their lands are being grabbed. And when we say, please come for a protest or something, whatever, because every moment, every minute matters. And they
right.
don't have that time to, they know they sit and, but because your your soil is full of chemicals. Now, if
Mhm,
it has to reach that transition time, it takes at least 3 to 4 years. So who should help them to do that? The government. So my
Right.
demand has been that don't give subsidies, you give the support, give that the farmer can make the transition to organic natural farming. But हमारे इलाके में अभी some people are still on their own. Like for example, I buy rice from a farmer from the neighboring village because I don't grow paddy.
Mm.
I'm against the concept of irrigation itself because these are dry
Oh.
lands. They should not be spoiled by using irrigation. We should have been eating what grows naturally, like maybe the millets, everything. But then thoda chawal, वैसे भी खा ले. But then there are also dry places that use very little water. But the
Really?
thing is, somebody has to spend the time and energy to educate the that what they have. Like for example, in our village, in our being told, oh, the future city is great for you. I said, can you get this kind of air, pure
Mhm.
air, if you go to Delhi or Hyderabad? No. I said, can you give, kitna crore dena? I will use the word in Hindi. How many crores are you going to give to get this kind of fresh air?
Mhm.
Can you,
Right.
what happened? Yes, you can't. You can't. One gives, I don't know how many kilos of oxygen per day, and they want to destroy it.
Mm.
So the problem is, I had a huge area of problem since last 7, 8 years. We've been fighting against the setting of this pharma city, future city, and all. So it has been a very big task, continuously talking, telling people you're going to lose your life. अभी भी उनका दिमाग में नहीं चढ़ता है because they are
Mm.
continuously lost in that daily routine. Oh no, I have to plant my rice. Oh no, I have to do this. My animal needs this. My that needs that. Why not?
Right.
Because it's 24/7 work. So, so somebody, what I was saying, if the government is really serious about doing something, then what they should do is spend time, give them the support so that they can transit into organic farming or natural
Right.
farming, and then it will be fine. And
Right.
I don't think of, organic में ज़्यादा पैसे इसलिए उसमें जाओ. Then what
Mm.
happens is your basic ethics are not changing. Your values
That's
are not
correct.
changing. You're only
Yep.
doing it because it's only for the sake of money.
Hmm. Yeah, you're right.
So,
There's a government as far as government being a service provider for you. Them being your sources, them being your rulers. The minute they start ruling
mm,
you, you can stop expecting them to do anything for you. You're just a
yes,
homo
no,
that they'll feed
we are
off of.
just a slave.
That's
We're
right.
just a slave.
So that whole thing
I want to
really, as you
convert everybody into a slave.
right. So
They want to make
the whole
everybody
thing is
into a
about
slave.
how can it's all a control mechanism. How can they,
Yes.
get more their, so they can control more. So I've stopped really, uh, like
Say
government
here,
entirely.
one word here. You said you nailed it. And the reason why across India now, huge tracts of land are being grabbed. Not now, even since the last 20 years.
Right.
Huge tracts of land have been grabbed from farmers in the name of development, and they want people to be out of agriculture. They don't want farmers to be doing farming. They don't want
Right.
villages because villages are self sustaining. Villages can survive on their own without the outside world. That's what COVID showed us. It
Hmm.
proved to us. And the recent, this war, when the gas has stopped, we were all okay because we have our
Yeah.
firewood, we have so many other options. So they don't want people to be self sustaining because self sustaining people are free, and free people will not listen to you.
Have you ever wondered about how the Amish in the United States they function autonomously for hundreds of years? They've done this, and
Yeah, I met the Amish people.
okay. So what
Yeah,
can we from them and apply it to India, where, as you mentioned, they're not doing it because organic is going to make more money. That's their way of life, and they've completely
yeah,
grid. They've completely gone off the reliance on the outside world. They
nature.
call the English. The English call the Americans the English because they're kind of like Dutch, German speaking people. So
Right.
so even though India has a lot of farmers, I would say, but there
Yeah.
are cultures around the world doing things perhaps in a, I don't want to say necessarily a better way, but there are issues that they've addressed. They're not waiting for
Mm.
government to come and bail them out of anything, so how are
No,
they, and we're not able to do it
no, we are
because they're
doing that.
highly
See, it is
organized
happening.
people.
No, no, it is happening pockets. See, what I want to say was I use the word urbanization of the rural mind. This has happened
Hmm.
especially since the last 20, 25 years.
Right.
See, when they wanted to destroy India, they didn't start off with bringing big MNCs and mining and this and that and everything else. First, they brainwashed our people by first thing they did was by privatizing television. They brought in all the Star TV, this TV, that TV, everything. Made into zombies, and they were made to think that this kind of lifestyle is something to be aspiring for. And people started feeling frustrated. They didn't want to get it. They wanted to get out of villages and everything else.
So you believe, do you
So
that the TV should be nationalized?
no, I think, well, when I look at when we had Doordarshan, see, I watched Doordarshan.
I've seen
Even
that.
in Doordarshan time, I'm telling you, we still had some path-breaking documentaries that were
Mm,
criticizing the government regarding booth capturing. I mean, I saw all the school days. I'm talking about
mm,
when I was bacha. We still had very films, mainstream cinema that was critical and that was shown on Doordarshan. Today, you look at the private channels. See, it's
mm,
all about money. See, one good thing I saw because when I studied in England was in the UK was funded by people's money. It
mm.
was not, but of course, I'm not saying the BBC is great. Everybody's controlled. It's all controlled.
That's right.
So take the TV out of the house. That's the best
Okay.
job to do. I mean, I'm just saying, we all need to take everything with a pinch of salt. But considering at least the value systems that the Doordarshan taught were different and it did not destroy the society.
Right.
Whereas what they managed to do with the private television was to destroy the core of this nation, which was living as a society. As what Archana was talking about, that, that ke log, they say, which is still there in Punjab. And that is why they were able to do what they managed to do few years ago, sitting for months together in a protest. They were able to do that because they still have those strong bonds within their pind, the village bonds. In every other area, many places it's been lost. So if you want to really, so this is my fight about that we need to bring it back. So
Right.
I'm not saying that again, utopianly, every village was very good, blah, blah,
Right.
blah.
Right.
No, there were a lot of problems. So what Gandhiji was exactly trying with his um, Safai Karmachari Kam Andolan, when everybody starts cleaning their own shit, sorry to use the word, then there will be social equality. Because that
Hmm.
is where it all started, the division of labor, who does the dirty work.
That's
When
right.
we are able, when we are do that, then we realize how titanic was Indian NGOs, and they brought in
Breaking up
reforms.
again. Audio is breaking up
You
again.
hear me now?
Now it's better. Now it's better.
So what we really needed was social reform, which is what Gandhiji was trying to do. Nobody understood
Right.
him. It was not going to happen because some people get some rights and no, some others don't get rights. No, because unless you're changing from deep inside you, unless the society changes from deep inside you, you cannot make that change. Cannot
Audio
make it.
issues again. This audio issue is coming up again. You're almost
Now,
cutting off. Yeah. Now it's better. Yeah. Are you doing anything
no, my sister is holding up her mobile to test the signal
Okay.
because we use that mobile hotspot.
I see. I
So,
see. Okay.
so the thing is, I'm trying to say is, so Gandhiji was looking at the change from inside, not the outside. So
Right.
what we instead went for was the cosmetic changes, which was happening either through your reservations or whatever, fighting for rights and everything. Of course, we use the Constitution of India to fight. Today only we gave a letter to the police, and the police inspector was surprised and he was telling all his constables and everybody, look, the farmers know better than you. Please learn from them. We gave a letter because we want to protest day after. So this is, I mean, I hope all over.
No,
But
no.
what you
I
were
just wanted to
mentioning to
say that
change,
Saraswati ji, what affects you farmers also affects us, perhaps in a different way, at a
yes,
different
yes,
level. But the
level,
time and
yes,
effort that it takes by thought leaders, people of good conscience, has to be spent. We can learn from
yes,
Gandhiji, from historical figures and other cultures, but we don't live where they live or when they lived, and they don't live in our time and in our space. So it is a
So
responsibility of
sorry,
each
you
community.
asked me the question about Amish people. So
Right on cue. So just to keep the continuity, and I'll explain that to her as well, that we can learn from historic personalities from different, but we need thought leaders in our own space to invest the time and effort that is taking, whatever time it takes, to create that mature response to the crises that our communities face. We can't all just throw up our hands and say the government will come and help us, or the system is too powerful. The system utilizes our naivety, our gullibility. The system uses it for their advantage. And the only thing we have to do is band together and stop letting them use us. There are people of different strengths and talents, different um ideas that we can together and leverage each other's strengths and help overcome our weaknesses. So as we're having, here we go, heading to the stage.
can you see me?
I can see you now. It's good. Now the
So
connection is good again.
saying, is this happening in India, like what the Amish are doing? Our Adivasis were living that.
Right.
They're living inside the forest, they're living self-sustaining lives, they're happy people. What started with the British when they started taking over the forests, because earlier the forests were being managed by the people, and they had all that they needed. They was coming from the forest. If you look at our fishing communities, they're totally living with the sea, and they say the sea is our reserve bank. If you want to get our daughter married, we just go do fishing for a few days, get their daughter married. As simple.
Mm.
Fishing communities are one of the most independent communities I've ever seen. They were not dependent on anybody. They don't ask government for anything. Give us this,
Mm.
that. They were destroyed. They were destroyed by bringing in these. I did a documentary on the fishing community also. They
What
were
was it
destroyed.
called?
It was called Between the Devil and the Deep Sea. How this so-called modernization of the fishing destroyed the communities. So I should upload it. I have not uploaded it on my YouTube channel.
So we can't find it then.
No, no,
Okay.
I will. I will. That
Okay.
having time with our movement these days, but I will definitely upload that. So because it was on, it is all now in 4 parts, I need to join it, and somehow I never managed to do that. So the fishing community is again one of those very self-sustaining communities. They have been destroyed. Their their entire how to say, the fishing areas have been taken one by trawlers, and then the prawn cultures. Again, blue revolution,
Hmm.
this coastal industrial corridors. That film is there online. It is there. What I did, Coast Under Attack. Entire coastal areas are being taken away for these huge expressways, eight lane, 9 lane, 10 lane, whatever, and then industrial corridors where they want to put up huge industries across the coast. Was actually living like that. What you're saying, Amish, or just those, every Indian community was living like that, small, small, within the village. Even if today, also in our village, if the gas is stopped, if the power is stopped, it doesn't matter.
So you're saying
If
that
the
the post-colonial East India Company is
yeah,
more pervasive than what the British Raj was.
absolutely, absolutely. They have actually a mind, not physically. So they are able to do
Right.
much better. They're able to do it in a, how do I say, it's become very
Mm-hmm.
easy for them, because
Right.
when they're controlling your mind, they're controlling everything else.
That's right.
And then we are allowing them to take away our freedom by giving them our resources. You know, People keep saying jobs, we need to do jobs. I said, what stupidity. You're free, you're enjoying your life, and then you want to
Hmm.
go and do a job and work like a slave under somebody, and you want to give away farmlands, forests, everything for these corporations so that they give you a
Right.
job and then they kick you out once they get a new automation. Finished.
Right. That's right. And so what I was saying earlier was that there is a real potential for us to come together and
Yes.
leverage the talents and the strengths of various people in this movement. And it
Yeah.
doesn't take everybody to do it. Everybody should pitch in the way that they can and do what
Yes.
little they can or a lot whichever way, how much ever they can contribute. But
Yeah.
thought leaders and people who have the organizational skills, we need to spend the time, effort, and resources to put this together. And it is not an impossible fight. The enemy
Yes.
wants us to think that. The enemy wants
Yeah.
us to be defeated mentally before we even resist. And
Yes.
we don't have to fall for that trick, and
Yeah.
I can firsthand that there are solutions that we can develop that are going to
Yeah.
go against the system. And
That's
so
wonderful.
that's where I'd like to
That's,
invite you and others to join us on the
yeah.
Discord server we have for Imana. And I know Discord is a little bit of a off brand in India, but
What is it? This?
it's called server. So if you
Okay.
go to the Imana website,
Uh-huh.
www.imana.com, on the top right,
Right.
there's a little icon that's an orange color. And if you click it, you get to our Discord server. It'll ask you to install the app on your phone. And that platform is very rich, and it's able
Oh,
to combine all kinds of different efforts and ideas into one platform. So we've been
oh,
working on that for quite some time. And especially people like yourselves, Saraswati ji, and we need that, we need that militant, attitude, that income. That's what
yeah.
we need. And a
Nay,
lot of us,
I would
we've
call,
just been like,
no, we are actually, I'm seeing we actually are, we need another freedom.
that's
India
correct.
is under siege. India, nobody
Exactly
realizes
right.
that. And so before we end, I don't know, I think we have talked a lot. So I would like to appeal, if you can make a short video out of this. I want to make an appeal to all your viewers and whoever is listening to this podcast. One thing first, try to save the farmers, try to save all the small vendors on the street, on small mom and pop shops, because they're taking over everything that takes away our freedom, and lives with less, because everything that we use is causing trauma to somebody somewhere. So I know we
Mm,
can't live without a lot of stuff nowadays because of the lifestyles that we have, but can we reduce, can we reducing to as much extent as possible? So I didn't tell you about my other venture, which is I work with the weavers, the handloom weavers, when we were talking about the direct platform. So this direct marketing platform is about bringing handloom weavers, because the same sector, the next largest industry in India was the weaving sector. And so the handloom
khadi.
weavers also,
So
khadi,
you make
yes,
khadi?
handloom.
Yeah.
I don't make khadi. I give a platform. I
Mm,
started a platform for the weavers to come in direct contact with the consumers. So it is
mm.
called a Chenita Santa, which means heart. Heart
How do you
माने जैसे
spell? How do
हमारे
you
Cheneta Santa. I'll send you the poster. Maybe you can
spell?
display it somewhere.
Sure.
So Cheneta means handloom in Telugu, and Santa is like जो हिंदी में heart बोलते हैं ना, like a
Hmm.
regular heart. It keeps happening. So we run this every 2 months, so that at least one good thing was people in Hyderabad became aware about these products. And so, like I'm saying is, buy as much as possible hand produced stuff, because it is what provides true livelihood for people. I know it doesn't look very fancy, and their livelihood. So I will tell you one small quote from a weaver. He said that, Mr. This was 20 years. One weaver said that, our chief minister wants us to go and work inside a textile park, like textile sheds kind of thing for the weavers. He said,
Mm,
here I am working with my family at my own pace. The whole family is together. We all share our work, and the family bonding is there. Tomorrow
mm,
I go to the I park or textile park. I go one way, my wife goes elsewhere, my son is somewhere else. We're all, oh, hum log bikhar jate hain. And on top
mm.
of that, here I'm working at my own pace, in my own space. There I'll be working like a dog.
Right. So you're
So
talking about a cottage industry.
cottage industries. So if we can promote more and more of cottage industries, if we can support small farmers, small vendors on this, and everybody. I have a lot of things which I've written about all this, my articles over a long period of time. I
Mm,
would like to bring it together as a book. That is also not happening. I'll try to do it. So then we can start saving life, saving nature, and saving of own freedom also. Please use cash because digital is going to make you a slave very soon. Try and use as much cash as possible, or let's get into barter system. Wo bhi chalega. But that is the danger. We are not very far away, hardly maybe a few months to a couple of years. And if possible, all of us should start living in, you know, help each other living. I know everybody can't leave the city and come to a village like I did, but wherever you possible, if we can have our little urban gardens, growing our own food is most crucial, most important. And of course, in the village, you can live without energy also, but in the cities, you need your energy. So go for maybe solar or whatever that gives you freedom. Stay away from the government. Don't take any of their subsidies, and then you will be free and your children will have a future. And I would like to say one small thing. If any one of you is interested to support us by doing online campaigns for our struggle against this future city, pharma city, or whatever, the land grab which is happening in the name of development, where the farmers are struggling to hold on to their land, please connect, because we need people's support to take the word across India, across the ruthlessness of this so-called democratic governments, which are not following any rules at all, which are given in the constitution. Thank you.
Fantastic. I just wanted to say that if a farming community and a village can coalesce with other villages to form a network and a village square, we can actually rewrite our own currency. The modern fiat
Yes, we
currency
can.
system is a flawed, it's a fractured
Yes,
system through which we're
it's a
being
fraud.
enslaved. We're being enslaved
Yes.
through that. That someone else
So
is
what
print
I'm saying, see,
unlimited paper money and then tell you what your
Omarji,
produce is worth. Yes. Go ahead, please.
so Omarji, that is why they're trying to destroy India's villages,
That's right.
because that is where we all have an option. If you can, do shift to a village, form a small community, or better, try to integrate into the community. That is, save the existing villages.
And the part that I'm trying to do, Saraswati ji, is to bridge the village and urban, because there are
Yes,
things
wonderful.
that we can gain from the urban
Yeah.
life. For example, the internet that we're talking through technology, all of these
Yes.
other things that a village simply cannot produce, right? So there has to be a midpoint. There has to be somewhere where we can meet at a
Yes.
happy medium and leverage the strength of both.
Right.
We need vibrant villages, and we
Right.
also need the technological prowess that we can leverage if we're going to fight the
Yes.
spiritual battle against good and evil. So, with that, if you have anything final words to tell the audience, please do.
I think I told a lot already, but yes, thank you very much for giving this opportunity. It was very nice. And yeah, and my interest was every such interview somewhere we can push our cause and,
Right.
try to get some, because situation on ground level is very bad. Every day these bulldozers are coming and trying to take over the land, removing the power connections, everything, and it's very, very bad. So if you want to support by giving your voice, by writing about it, or by trying to, I don't know how else, by doing some online campaigns, please help, because this is happening now in some across Telangana, and it is happening across India, where farmers and small people being thrown out of their lives and livestock livelihoods. So
Right.
that's it. Thank you.
And I've
Thank you very
also
much.
heard
I hope we'll have some.
the massive rates of suicide among farmers. Is that still the case?
Yeah. Yes, that's what I about, right? This whole thing, this dependency thing. See, farmers were never very well to do even in the past. One
Right.
farmer told me once that we were doing the same farming, Amara, Purana Zamina, grandfather's style farming. But there was suicide. It was not grand, but the farmers had abundance. They were always giving so many people everywhere. This concept of selling itself didn't exist.
Right. Yeah, I mean, from my that farmers are even selling the urban areas anything is a favor. That's the way, because they don't need
Yeah,
the cities. The cities need the farm.
absolutely, absolutely.
So thank you,
So
Swatiji, for. Yeah, I'm
I
sorry. Go
have a
ahead.
slogan. Sorry to say, I just want to share this slogan. It is called "Jameen bachega, gaon bachega, to desh bachega." I don't know how you want to translate that in
Excellent,
English.
excellent.
So
Yeah, if the land is saved, the village is saved, the country is saved. And I would even extend that to the world is saved for humanity.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So,
So thank you,
thank you so much.
Saraswati ji, for coming and sharing your profound wisdom and experiences and passion with us. And
Thank
thank
you.
you, everyone out there, for watching our show.